hello, hello. Oh, thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, wow. What a big crowd here at the Cottrell Digital Studio for our third annual 24-hour
Telethon!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our telethon. I'm Libba, and of course we have Glenn. Hey, Glenn.
Hello.
And Marie. Hello, Marie. And we are so excited. The day has finally arrived. It's been a whole year since our last telethon, which was so much fun. And here we are again for our third annual 24-hour telethon. But this year, we are celebrating something a little different. We are actually raising donations for our free children's reading program, Gainesville Reads. And I am really excited about today because we're going to have 24 hours of story times for kids, trivia, history games, raffles and prizes, rewards, all kinds of good things. So I'm super excited. How are y'all doing today, Glenn? How are you doing?
I'm very excited. It may not show in this stony face, but I know that today is going to be a great day. There's so much to see, so much to take part in, and so much to support.
Absolutely. And Marie, are you also excited?
So excited!
Yay!
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. And, you might already see that we're well into our goal. Our goal for our 24-hour telethon is to reach $5,000, and we are already $2,615 toward our goal. That's because we have wonderful local business sponsors, as well as early bird donors. So, in fact, I would love to take a moment to thank our early bird donors. So. Let's take a look at who has donated already. And also, thank you for everyone who's joining us in the chat. I see Olivia is here. Hey, Olivia! I also see Scott is here. Hey, Scott!
Hey, Scott!
And good morning to everyone who is watching. And I wanted to go ahead and thank our early bird donors. We have Cheryl, Rachel, Carol, and Jose. Thank you so much for your donations. Carol also wanted to say that I'd love to bring a few residents to the Northeast Georgia History Center for a tour, crossing fingers and toes that I win. Carol must have entered our raffle.
Raffles?
Yes, indeed, which, don't worry, we're going to go through all of our awesome raffle prizes that we have, our really great donation rewards as well, and a membership sale. This is a great time to become a member. And Carol also says, greetings to all Gainesville readers. Oh, wonderful. Terry is also here. Hey, Terry. Good to see you, one of our regulars. And we also have a few other people. There were quite a few people who donated early, so we really appreciate that. Want to come back? Kathy Oates. We have Dan and Angela and Helen. Thank you so much for your generous donations. But I mentioned Gainesville Reads, and I'd love to give everyone a background, basically like a little history of Gainesville Reads, because this has been such a rewarding part of my life, but also just something that has really become central to the History Center and our educational mission. Glenn, I'm kind of curious to hear from you. I mean, when I approached you with this idea back in, I don't know, I guess 2018 or so, at that point when we were just mulling things over, I mean, what were your thoughts about having a reading program at the History Center?
Well, as an executive director, I'm always leery of any idea that staff comes up with. But when we talked about it, and it turned into something that I really, really liked. Not only could we help kids who need help reading to learn to read, but we could also perhaps sneak some history books in there and give them a double whammy of history education and reading education. And so it was a great idea. And Libby, you had worked up in Connecticut with a group very similar to this, so you were the brainchild and kind of had the idea set. And so we were trying to find the best way to get this funded. And our Taste of History that year was going to be honoring former governor Sandra, Governor Nathan Deal and First Lady Sandra Deal.
Mm-hmm.
And Sandra had been so involved with helping kids read, and she had gone, I think, and read to almost every school system in the entire state. Every one.
Yes.
While she was First Lady. And so reading was a big deal to her, and so we thought this would be a perfect match for a Fund the Need at that event. And that's what we did. We started... And what was the original goal? I'm trying to remember the original goal.
So the thing is that we just wanted to start a small pilot program of like 10 to 15 students. So we were really just looking for $10,000, which I know sounds like a lot, but it is not when you're trying to fund a program like this. And so, in fact, I can show a few pictures to sort of build the story.
Yes.
So here we are at our Taste of History back in 2019, honoring Governor Nathan Deal and Sandra Deal. And when we proposed this program, it was really awesome to have Sandra and Nathan's support during this Taste of History fundraiser. And like I said, we were trying to get $10,000, and here I am standing at the sides, because this is the kind of fundraiser where you're hoping people just chime in, and with the first person.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah. And so Doug Carter was our he was our auctioneer, if you want to call it that night. And so the way these Fund the Needs work is you say, well, we have this much amount to raise. And you always start off at that amount, and you chuckle, and then you sort of break it down as like, well, if someone won't do 10, how about 2 people to do 5, or 4 people to do 2,500? And that's how it usually goes. Yeah. And so Doug said, well, who wants to do 10,000? And in about 3 seconds, hand went up and said, I'll do it.
Amazing.
And then another hand went up and said, oh, I'll do one too. And
my gosh.
And Doug, I was standing over the side, and Doug turned and he looked at me. He's like, what do I do? Keep going. Keep going, Doug. And I glanced at Libba, and Libba's like about to faint over there, and several other people started doing 5s, and the bottom line is that wonderful evening we raised $60,000 to get Gainesville Reads off the ground. Amazing. Off the ground, soaring at the highest height.
Right. And what that allowed us to do, we were going to start with just the basic kind of program to prove the program, and we did start small at first because that's just a smart way to go. Right. But it has that funding allowed us a really nice runway up to this point. Well, our runway is getting a little short, as you can tell, but it allowed us to get the ideal supplies that we need. Not only Chromebooks for the tutors and students to use during their sessions. We have a wonderful program called Lexia Literacy, which is a really great computer program that kind of gamifies literacy skills. It's very fun for the kids because it's lots of puzzles, and it kind of tricks them into learning because it's fun.
And on the other side, it totally tracks student by student progress, right?
Yes.
So you can, and it really hones in on those areas to work on.
Absolutely, yes. That's one of the best benefits of having Lexia is that we get to see very specifically what challenge areas the student has and where they're succeeding, so that we can really, because keep in mind that our tutoring sessions are 1 hour per week, but it's one-on-one. Right. So, when you have that one-on-one tutoring, then you really can dive into the skills that you need more help on. And I am so happy that from our very beginning, these are pictures from our pilot program, so you can see some of our original tutors. This is Cindy. She's actually still a tutor, one of our substitute tutors that comes in, which is so nice. And so we started off with these kiddos and a wonderful group of volunteers. And of course, this is January of 2020, so you probably know what's coming up next. And indeed, we did have to go virtual, but there was really we could immediately go virtual because of the Cottrell Digital Studio. It's right. We did not have that learning curve of having to learn Zoom and all of that. We've been doing this for years. So as you can see here, we had group sessions where we'd have story times reading together. We would have group Zoom games that teach literacy skills and build vocabulary. And then when we got back in August of 2021, still dealing with the pandemic and the challenges that it presented, we could really see this program as we intended it to be, with that one-on-one tutoring when we came back in August. And since then, we have served over 60 local children, both in on-site one-on-one tutoring and our virtual program. And it's wonderful. I love just going upstairs during the tutoring sessions and just seeing all these happy kids and tutors reading together, learning together. We have a fantastic team of program managers. This is Ruth Moreno. There's also Diana Mencia, and we'll be hearing from them a little bit later. But as you can see, it's a really fun program, and it's a great cause to give to. And I'm really excited for everyone to get to know Gainesville Reads today. There are, of course, a few different ways that you can support Gainesville Reads. I mean, of course, offering a donation of whatever amount. Anything. I mean, you could also contribute new children's books if you wanted to drop by new children's books. We serve children that are in 1st through 5th grade at this time. And of course, another great way is to become a volunteer tutor with us. So I hope that you will be encouraged to give in some way today. But speaking of our tutors, I would really love to share some clips from tutors who offered to sit down for an interview with me. So let me go ahead and show a couple of clips from our wonderful, only a few I should say, of our wonderful tutors.
I'm involved with a couple of other volunteer activities, but I have wanted for a while now to get involved with children, especially in reading programs, because I had heard about them. And in fact, I have a neighbor who is a volunteer here at Gainesville Reads, and he spoke so highly of it that I thought, well, gosh, I'm going to go up there and check it out. And so I did, and there were several things about this program that I really liked. First of all, is you don't have to have any teaching background, which I don't. And then secondly, the organization here at Gainesville Reads. I just thought it was very impressive. And all of the tools that you all have to help with the teaching, all of this just seemed just very, very attractive to me. And I thought, boy, I want to give this a shot.
Well, when you work with a child one-on-one, it benefits that child to be more self-confident and carry it to other areas that she has experiences with. I've seen that change in my student already.
So I have had the opportunity to see quite a bit of progress, and probably the most satisfying to me is that he's not so hard on himself.
He would always say, "Can you read it to me? Can you read it to me?" because he didn't want to read. But now he will say, "I want to read it now." He's getting more motivated each time that he comes and sees me.
Her fluency is much improved, and I'm really pleased. And also it's just like, it's the highlight of my Friday.
When kids are in school, they don't get a whole lot of one-on-one instruction. If he didn't have a person sitting next to him, he might just fly over the word and just keep on going and not really care. But when there's somebody sitting next to him, he's much more confident in trying to figure out what that word is and moving forward.
I mean, these could be your future astronauts, your future teachers, and they may be small, but they really do have a lot to offer. And like I've said before, if they overcome this challenge, they can absolutely overcome anything else that comes in the future, because I think it's something they'll look back and be like, wow, if I overcame this, if I had the support, if I had the resources, I can definitely do that in the future as well.
Gainesville as a community will benefit from this program, because when we have children in our school system that have a chance to succeed, they will benefit the whole community. So this is not just about the school, this is about the future.
So just a few comments from our wonderful tutors. I feel so lucky and fortunate that we have such a wonderful community of volunteer tutors here. So if that inspires you to join us, I hope it does, or to at least spread the word to those who you think might be interested in becoming a tutor. I also wanted to thank our latest donation. Thank you so much, Terry, for donating $20. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Terry. And Terry also says, thanks for offering this. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Now,
I had to interject a little bit
sure.
because y'all do such a good job with the program. I don't get my fingers in it because I don't have to, because Libba and Ruth and Diana, they take it on. But I have seen, these are kids coming to a tutoring program that are struggling with reading. That's why they're here. You would think that when they come here, they would simply trudge right towards the door.
No.
Oh, here we go. It's another time where I have to learn. I'm already out of school and I'm having to do this. That is not the case.
Nope.
I have to make sure I don't walk in front of the doors or down the steps when it's time for the kids to get here, because they will knock you down.
Oh my gosh. They're so
bebopping up
excited.
those stairs to get in here. It is amazing to me.
Yeah, and Marie, I'm sure you've seen, because since your office is upstairs, that what is your impression when you walk by Gainesville Reads?
Yes, they're so engaged, I think is the main word I would go for. Is they're so engaged, they're so excited to be learning. They seem to all have really great relationships with their tutors. The tutors are really wanting to invest in these kids, and that shows so much as the kids progress, and we get to see some of their successes and hear some of the wonderful stories about how they're learning so much and progressing, and how some of the parent comments are also some of the sweetest things that we receive here. And we when those get sent in, they're just, so I'm not even part of the program, and I still see them, and just, like, my heart is so touched by all of the sweet words that the parents have to say about how they see such a change in their child and how they're doing better in school, and not just reading but other classes, because reading is so foundational to all other studies, except maybe math. Well, except algebra. There's letters in algebra, right?
Sure.
Right.
So, I seem to remember that.
Yeah, right? We're historians. We don't do that.
Right.
But yes, they're so excited to come to the History Center and to learn. And then sometimes they get to go into the exhibits, or they get to play with our travel trunks here at the History Center. So I like it when we get to sneak in some history education in with that reading education.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and they always really enjoy that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's really cool that the reading program takes place at such a space that incites so much curiosity and exploration. I mean, there's also fun activities like, sight word scavenger hunt through the museum and everything that we've been really creative with. And the kids just love the atmosphere here, and I think you'll hear from the tutors later in more detail about that very relaxed environment here, because at the end of the day, it's really about building their confidence in themselves, because if they're confident in themselves, then they can get over the next challenge that they're going to approach. So it's awesome. Oh, I see that. Karen is here. Hey, Karen. Hi. One of our regulars, Karen. Karen said, you all were amazing during the pandemic. Oh, thank you so much, Karen. Karen also says, my girlie started writing some books for little kids when the pandemic started. Is there a way we could donate some copies of her series, Me, Myself, and I, to the cause? Just let me know. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Guada's also helping us from behind the scenes. Could you please type in my email for Karen? Karen, you probably already have my email, to be honest, but please, yes, do contact me. That sounds awesome. Now, of course, we mentioned our donation levels and raffle prizes. So you not only get to support a great cause, but you get a lot of cool stuff out of it if you want. So first of all, we have a membership sale right now. So on select memberships, we have a 20% discount on our local memberships, select local memberships, and then only $20 digital memberships. Now, Glenn, why don't you take it away and tell us a little bit about what a membership offers someone?
Well, a membership, of course, the digital memberships get you access to all of the digital content that we have created. Libba, these 2.5 years. Everything, all the member broadcast, all the special pandemic episodes, all the things that gets you access to all those 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anytime you want them. You can watch them at home. You can show them to your class if you're a teacher. That is a great deal. The local memberships are for folks that are close enough to come and see the History Center. And when you come to the History Center as a member, that means you're going to get access to all of our galleries, all of our gardens, all of our historic structures anytime we're open, and it gets you in to every event that we do, except for our biggest fundraiser of the year, all the time. Forums, Chautauquas, all those things, homeschool family days. Homeschool and family days, you get in free as a member. And let me tell you, if you are interested in becoming any of these members, this is the time to jump on it, because Libba had to twist my arm to convince me to put a discount on our memberships.
You're welcome.
This is the first time we've ever had a membership discount. So if you are interested in becoming a member, not only for the benefit to yourself for having access to all those great things, but to help support the History Center and the mission that it carries out, now is the best time to be a member. And if you're already a member, it's a good time to get a discounted holiday gift for someone that you know and or love.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marie, perhaps you could speak to one of our most recent events that we've had is our new homeschool days, and our family membership is an excellent deal for especially for homeschool families. Could you tell us a little bit about the homeschool days we've had so far this year?
Yeah, so Homeschool Day is one of the programs that we have implemented this semester beginning in August, and we weren't sure what to expect because it was a new program. So we started our first one. We decided we're going to do them every other month. Our first one was in August, and the theme was the one-room schoolhouse, very much like Little House on the Prairie, if you've ever seen that, with Lori Ingalls Wilder becoming a teacher and all that. So we set up in the spare room that's kind of like our multi-purpose room in the White Path cabin, and I set it up. We had nice little wooden benches going back, and I was interpreting as a teacher that day, and I had slates and chalk and textbooks, and then I had a nice little dip pen where kids could dip the pen in ink and then write their name. And I was hoping for about 50 kids.
Oh yeah, we would have been thrilled with 50 people.
That would be amazing for 50 people to come this was over a span of a day, 10 to 1.
Yeah.
And we had 365 people. One for almost every day of the year.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
Can y'all get up here and help?
Yes. Yeah, basically.
Was our
Yes, it was wonderful. It was the sort of day we dream of here.
Yes. In our wildest dreams.
Yeah.
So yes, I wasn't really aware of what was going on, except for I kept seeing people come in from the parking lot, and then I had to kind of modify my program to be where it's like, okay, we do this, this, and this. Okay, goodbye.
Yes.
Come in on the fly, and we had to have call people up and be like, Can you come run the front desk?
Yeah.
We need more help.
Yeah, can you go in the shop? Can you help with the scavenger hunt?
Yes, backup. We need backup.
Yeah. Now our other homeschool days, we were very prepared.
We were then prepared.
Yeah.
We realized how popular they were. So our second one that we had was in October, and that one was harvest time on the homestead, and we talked about our two main crops here in Northeast Georgia, which were mainly corn and then also wheat. But we focused a lot on corn. Here you can see Madeline, one of our amazing historical interpreters, making corn husk dolls. Here we are with my station, where we were making cornbread and wheat bread, and we were turning butter, which the kids had a super fun time with. It got a little messy because I let them help me the dough.
Life on the farm is messy.
It is. But it was fun. We were also prepared for that. We had wet wipes and hand sanitizer. But yes, it was a fantastic time. We also had corn grinding, where they could learn how to use a traditional corn grinder that we have here. And then just also learn about what life was like for people living here in Northeast Georgia in the mid-1800s. So we had Chip, one of our other historical interpreters, in the cabin talking about the different things in material culture that you find, well,
I love this picture.
Yes.
He's like, I don't know if I want to make any more corn.
Some of the kids were super into it because it's like Play-Doh, and then some of them were like, "This is sticky."
But it's such it's just such a wonderful program, and I'm so happy that we have started it. It's been super fun, and of course, becoming a family level member, then you get free access to not only the exhibits and our other events, but homeschool day as well. So
right, and the next homeschool day is going to be a big one, I think, Marie.
It is. Yes, December 14th from 10 to 1 p.m. here at the History Center. We have our next and last homeschool day of this year, the Civil War.
Yeah.
So we'll have soldiers, we'll have firing demonstrations, Civil War nurses, civilians. We're going to have a craft where you can like roll your own ammo.
Ooh.
It's not actual ammo. It will be
Nice.
black sand and a bead. But it will still be fun.
Cool.
Which is something kids at that time period would actually do. It's, it's
yes.
a direct one-to-one sort of translation.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
really
we're
cool.
also, we have a telegraph machine so you can try your hand at Morse code.
Oh, wow. That's going to be really fun. Nice, nice. And, you know, of course, all year round we have great events as well. One of my, I think, one of all of our favorite ones that was pretty new this past year was our fashion show,
Yes.
which was really, really cool. We got so many beautiful historic costumes and outfits, historically accurate, and models who walked the runway, which was just so much fun. So, you know, I mean, here's a great picture of the entire cast of models here.
That's not a cast, that's an ensemble.
That's an ensemble, indeed, indeed. So there's all sorts of awesome events throughout the year. So that's a big reason why you should become a member. And of course, if you don't live nearby, we also have our digital memberships. Karen was just saying she loves her membership. Thank you so much. And for just $20 for the whole year, you get one monthly original mini documentary from us. You get to access our virtual trivia game for members, which has been really fun. We just started that. And you also get our Ask a Historian program, where you can ask Glenn and Marie your history questions and receive a video answer. But let's move on from memberships and go on to our donation levels. So Glenn, can you tell us about our donation levels?
Sure. So at the $20 level, now again, you can give any amount, but the prizes start at $20. So at the $20 amount, you get a signed thank you card from all the staff here. You can see this beautiful print of the White Path cabin. That you would also receive that, and 5 raffle tickets, and you can assign those raffle tickets to which raffles you want to go into. We'll get into those raffles in a second, but that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and I really like that illustration of the White Path cabin. I definitely want that for myself as well. Right. All right, next we have our $50 level.
So with 50, you get everything above, plus a digital membership, which again, you can keep for yourself, or if you're already a digital member, you can gift that, and 10 raffle tickets to put into our raffles.
Mm-hmm. But if you want to donate even more.
Oh, this is a good one. Look at this. You get all the other stuff, plus a History Nerd notebook and water bottle, so that you can proudly proclaim to everyone you run into, see, meet, and know that you are, in fact, a history nerd like all of us here at the History Center. And don't forget those extra 15 raffle tickets to put into the raffles.
Yeah.
At the $200 level, you get all that stuff, plus a family membership, which gives you access here on site to all those things we were just talking about, to the galleries, to the gardens, to the historic structures, to all those events, and 20 raffle tickets to distribute throughout the raffle process. Oh, the $300 level, you get all the stuff above, plus a virtual program of your choice, and you can go online. You can see the different virtual programs we offer, and that's something that can be just for you. It can be for a whole group of people, your family, a classroom, anything like that, plus 30 raffle tickets. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of. There must be more raffle tickets coming, Lemma.
Oh, yeah.
At the $400 level, you get everything previously mentioned, plus an additional 10 raffle tickets for a total of 40 raffle tickets. Now, with that many raffle tickets, you're going to get a lot of chances to get some of those raffles.
Mm-hmm. But we're not done yet.
No, the $500 level, all the other stuff, plus, which means, remember, that includes a digital program, a virtual program, plus an on-site program for up to 10 people. That means that you get to pick from anything. And again, this can be for you yourself, or you can bring as many friends as you want, up to 10. Hopefully, folks here have more than 10 friends, but we're going to limit that to 10 so we can make sure the space works right. And an additional 50 raffle tickets. Now, this is my personal favorite. Right, at the $1,000 level, all of the previously mentioned things, plus 2 tickets to the Taste of History, which is our big annual fundraiser that we have every year. And this is a wonderful luncheon or an evening out, and these tickets usually run about $125 to $150 each. It includes a meal, it includes a program. It is one of those premier Gainesville events that happen around the year. Folks love to come to the History Center's Taste of History because it's actually fun.
Yeah.
We've sort of made a name for ourselves in terms of the fundraiser. It's not just a mutual appreciation association, as we say, but people actually come, they learn, and they always walk away talking about how great it is and how they want to come to the History Center even more.
Absolutely. So thank you for sharing all of our wonderful donation rewards. And I believe Guada has our donation link in the chat, but you can also donate online at bit.ly/telethon22. You can also donate by phone. Amelia is standing by to take your phone donation.
I might also mention that anyone who donates, of course, gets recognition as a Gainesville Reads supporter throughout the year when we promote Gainesville Reads.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And we've been talking a lot about these raffles. So, yes. Marie, why don't you share our wonderful raffles? And I think we'll start with this one.
Yes! Yes, so this year, that is the apron from last year, but we have a new and exciting apron. It has still beautiful blue and yellow and white pattern, but this one is a 1960s style apron. It has pockets!
Woo!
It has 3 huge pockets on the apron, and we're going to show that to you in just a little bit. I also custom embroidered some towels with my embroidery machine. It has some beautiful nature scenes, and then also I quilted some beautiful pot holders that you can use. Perhaps, I would like to think if you use them decoratively in your kitchen, but that's just because I made them. You can also use them for, actually, handling pots and pans and whatnot. But yeah, so that is one of our bundles, and all of these are things that I made.
Now, the custom embroidery, that's something that they can sort of pick, and you do, or
no, it's already done.
Oh, it's done.
Yes,
okay.
it is done. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
So beautiful embroidery, and in fact, I think we could probably grab that apron. Hey, Guada, would you mind grabbing the apron for us to show off to our wonderful viewers? Yeah. Now, what makes this 60s style?
So I actually used a vintage reproduction pattern from Simplicity.
Ooh.
So they reprinted this from their 1960s collection because Simplicity's been around for at least 100 years or so.
Right.
But here is our apron. Thank you.
Ooh, beautiful.
So here it is.
Ooh, oh, I like that style.
It's
Oh, and the
really
pockets
fun.
are big. Nice.
Nice big pockets. So we have 1, 2, 3 pockets.
Woo!
Yes.
Apparently, pockets for women weren't invented until the 1960s.
Yes. Here, I'm going to try it on with my evening dress.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, beautiful.
There we go. See?
Karen says pockets are life.
Yes. So there you go.
Oh, I love
nice
it.
Little apron ties in the back there.
Nice.
So it is quite lovely. It has a fun little sunflower, nice little
That is
daisy pattern to it. So goes with our branding for this year.
Yeah.
Nice blue for Gainesville Reads, and then the pot holders also match.
Yes.
The apron.
And the embroidery is really beautiful nature scenes, like Marie said. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to our next raffle.
Yeah, so that is the Art Council with the Summer Music Festival, and you get 2 tickets if you win this raffle for 8 outdoor concerts that go from May to September. They're held here. They're lots of fun, a good time. As you can see, it's a place where the whole community comes out and gets to enjoy some wonderful art and music together. So definitely want to enter that one as well.
Yeah, that's a great deal. I mean, that's 8 concerts that you get to attend with a friend or loved one, so that's super fun. All kinds of awesome music. I know that there's a wide variety of genres as well, from rock and roll to jazz to country. So that's really exciting. And thank you so much to the Art Council for offering these tickets and for being a sponsor. Our next raffle is
the Historic Games and Toys Bundle. So with this bundle, you'll get some old-fashioned playing cards, marbles, wooden dice, a cup and ball game, which all the kids who come and do our Toys and Games tour absolutely love. We have a hopscotch game and a corn husk doll.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite raffles. I think that's gonna be really fun. Next up, we have
our Archives tour. So with this, you will get a guided behind-the-scenes tour of our archives for up to 10 people, and you'll get to see some of the amazing artifacts that we have here that are not always on display, right? Because they're down in our archives currently. So you'll get a chance to see the behind-the-scenes. You'll get to come downstairs and see some really cool artifacts like you see in that picture there. All of those are from our archives.
Yeah. And next we have
our 18th and 19th century daily life program with activities or a guided tour of the exhibits, up to you. And that is for up to 10 people. So there you can see some of our pictures from our different tours. We have our weaving activity that Madeline is showing there. We have our blacksmithing demonstration, which Stephen, our resident blacksmith, is performing. Those 2 are very popular.
Oh yeah.
We also have our deerskin trade program. That's what those kids are holding there, that furry object, which is super fun, also very popular. And then butter making, because who doesn't like a chance to churn some butter?
Would they get to stick their hands in cornbread dough goo?
If you specifically request that, we can accommodate.
And then next up we have
our virtual program. So you get to meet a historical character live over Zoom, and that can be up for up to 20 people. So here you can see some of our characters that you would have the chance to meet. So we have Mary Musgrove, Julia Gordon-Lowe, Frederick Douglass, and then those people look familiar there. A Revolutionary War soldier and a camp follower. So we have lots and lots of options for you to pick from, but those are some of our favorites as well.
Yeah, so those are our raffles, so a lot of really awesome prizes. I hope that y'all will go ahead and enter those. Karen says her son loves classical music. Are any of them that genre? Yes, the Arts Council certainly does provide classical music as well. That's really cool that your son likes classical music. I'm also, I want to check out the jazz series too. That's going to be really fun. I believe, there was one more raffle that I don't think made our images. We also have a 6-month family membership to the High Museum of Art. So I'll be sure to update our raffles with that. But that is in our Telethon program, which you can access. If you go to our website that says Start Here at the bottom left of the screen, you'll find a link to our Telethon program that has the details of all of our donation rewards, as well as links to easily just click on whichever one. As well as our raffles. You can also read a little more about Gainesville Reads in there. Check out our sponsors, and there's also a list of the folks who were the first to donate to Gainesville Reads. So we'd like to thank them as well.
Absolutely.
Now we have a lot of awesome programs coming up, and I know that Marie is going to start us off at 10 a.m. in about 15 minutes with American Girl Stories. So I think we'll we'll take a brief break for our message from our sponsor. And Marie, I'm sure you want to get ready for your story time. Yes. So we're going to go ahead and go to one of our sponsors. Our largest sponsor was the Rotary Club of Gainesville. They gave us a sponsorship of $1,000, which is just amazing. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much to Rotary Club. So why don't we learn a little bit more about the Rotary Club of Gainesville, and Marie can get ready for our American Girls story time. Here we go. Our telethon is sponsored in part by Rotary Club of Gainesville. Rotary is a global network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. More information is available at www.rotaryclubofgainesville.com. And we're back. Marie's gone off to get ready for our American Girl story time. And again, thank you so much to the Rotary Club of Gainesville. I actually had the honor of interviewing the past presidents of Gainesville's Rotary Club and learning about all of the initiatives that they have. In particular, you might have seen the picture that was displayed. Their wheelchair ramp program is a really great cause and project by the Gainesville Rotary Club. Glenn, do you want to tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to help with a couple of those. There are people who, as people get older, they're not able to be as mobile anymore, and my hips are telling me how that story progresses. And to even just get into their homes, sometimes going up a set of steps onto a porch or something like that becomes difficult. And so what the Gainesville Rotary Club does is they have a group of people, they have a whole set of tools and everything. We've even got some designers who can go in and custom build these ramps for folks' homes or for small community centers to help just getting to and from these places. It can make a remarkable difference in someone's life. Rather than having a dread to go outside and walk to the mailbox or something, it just makes it easier. And being able to help with this has been a lot of fun because you just show up. And there's always work to do. You're digging holes, you're getting dirty, you're nailing and sawing and screwing and hammering things together. Yeah. And by the end, and it's always a one-day project. And when people pitch in, you show up there in the morning, and by late afternoon at the most, there's a ramp. And these folks are so thankful for it, and it is just a great thing, just one thing that Gainesville Rotary does to make a difference in the community.
Yeah, so thank you so much to Rotary Club of Gainesville. It really means a lot that they have supported Gainesville Reads with such a generous donation, yes. So we really appreciate that. Now, before we get to our next story time with Marie, I'd love to we're nearing the end of the year. It's always fun to just go back and look at what we've done, because on a day-to-day, it's like, big event, 365 people show up. And then the next day, we got to keep going,
Exactly, yeah.
And we don't, yes, we certainly celebrate, but we don't have a lot of time to really reflect on all that we have done. So I'd love to just go through in particular, this was a really fun family day. And Glenn, before we dive into the pictures, can you tell folks who are not familiar about our family days?
Yeah, so Family Day is something we offer the community. It is free to the community. It's free to everyone who comes. It's been the second Sunday of each month during the school year. And we pick different topics. Again, the Civil War, farming, World War II, Native American life, and whatever the topic is, and we set up several different stations. We have costume interpreters, which we've gotten quite well known for. We have hands-on activities. Sometimes we'll have presentations about the particular topics. They run from 1 to 4 on those Sundays, and they're just fun. People can come in. They can stay as long as they want. They can go to the activities. They can leave. A lot of folks come and stay all day, and it has really been something that the History Center has come to be known for, because a lot of people are able to come and enjoy them.
Yeah, and one of the family days we had this year was the founding of Georgia, which was really fun because we got to have a live blacksmith demonstration. And Glenn, why was this part of the founding of Georgia Family Day?
So, when you're come with me to the past. When you're founding a colony, you're literally going into the wilderness somewhere and hacking out something from the raw wilderness. And that means you're going to need craftspeople. It's not just farmers that need to go and start planting crops. You need carpenters, you need tailors, you need blacksmiths, because they're the ones who are going to repair or create all the iron tools and things that you need for homes, for farms, for businesses, all those sorts of things. So blacksmithing is one of the most crucial trades that came across in 1733 with Oglethorpe on the Anne when they left England and came here. So blacksmithing, of course, is always important in these early days, but especially in the time of founding a colony, they're absolutely crucial.
Yeah, and another really cool activity we had during this family day was learning the basics of weaving. And, I'm sure this was a skill that was not just in colonial Georgia, but why was this specific to colonial Georgia in this event?
Right, so you're right, Libba, it happens everywhere. This is how people make cloth to turn into clothes to wear. Clothing is pretty important all through history for fashion, for warmth. But in Georgia, it was going to be something different. In Georgia, one of the reasons the trustees wanted to create the colony was as an economic machine to create silk. Remember, in the early 1700s, silk has to come from the East, from China and those areas. And they thought, well, what if we could make silk within the British Empire? What if it could be a product that we don't have to go literally halfway around the world to get? We could have it made right here in the English colony of Georgia. And so Georgia had this plan. They brought over the silkworms, they brought over the trees, and they hired a couple of very knowledgeable people on how to care for the silkworms, how to harvest the silk, how to weave the silk into cloth. Georgia created, I think the first year, they made almost 8 to 10 yards of silk, which,
wow,
of course, isn't a lot. But unfortunately, that part of Georgia's future did not gel the way the trustees wanted it to or expected it to, because the silkworms just really didn't take. The environment, the geography wasn't exactly what it needed to be. And so they kept trying for that first decade or so of the Georgia colony, but it really didn't turn into much, unfortunately. And so, but weaving is weaving, and so those weaving skills were able to be translated into, weaving linen and wool clothing.
Very cool. And another fun thing that we do at all, or pretty much all of our family days, is we have our time travel pictures. You get a free souvenir picture. Now, these might not all be the most accurate historic costumes, but they are very fun to dress up in. And so you get a free picture. So you can see here one of our volunteers taking the photo, and then you get to leave with a fun souvenir picture. There's the plan of Savannah in the background for our founding of Georgia Family Day. And of course, I would also like to mention that we have a really great group of living history interpreters and volunteers for our family days and events. And if you're interested in becoming a volunteer, then certainly reach out to us. There's a page on our website for that. Family days are so much fun. I love being a part of them, and I know that our volunteers really enjoy it as well.
Absolutely, and there's Richard portraying one of the most famous people in the founding of Georgia, James Oglethorpe.
Yes,
the father of the colony, and Richard did a great job. But I think it was one of those things that he had to struggle past, because what were people interested in? Is that really your hair?
That's
yes,
so
it is,
funny.
says Richard.
No, Richard's great, and he'll actually be joining us for some of our history games a little bit later, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, that's just one of the family days that we hosted this past year. We've got lots planned for next year as well, and of course our last family day of 2022 is going to be our Appalachian Christmas Family Day, and I hear that Santa Claus is going to be there.
No.
Say hi to Leslie lurking in the background. Hey, Leslie. So Santa Claus is going to be at our Appalachian Christmas on Sunday, December 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. And you get free pictures with Santa, which, and it's, we've got so many fun activities as well. So it's an Appalachian Christmas theme.
Right.
So we're going to be learning about Appalachian traditions, Christmas traditions, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So I hope that you will join us for that. Now we are 5 minutes until our first official program, our story time. So we're going to hear from one of our sponsors, the Gainesville Times. We really want to thank the Gainesville Times for helping us get the word out about the telethon. And of course the support that they've shown in the past as well. So we're going to hear from the Gainesville Times, and then we'll go into our American Girl Story Hour shortly. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're so excited that you're here. Stay tuned for the American Girl Stories. Our telethon is sponsored in part by The Times. The Times is a local news outlet focused on serving readers in Hall County in Northeast Georgia. The Times publishes twice weekly in print and maintains a daily news operation on digital platforms. You can follow The Times on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and consider becoming a subscriber at www.gainesvilletimes.com.
welcome to American Girl Doll Story Time with me, Marie Bartlett. I am so excited to be reading several of the American Girl Doll stories to you today. We are going to be first reading Samantha Saves the Wedding, which is part of the short story collection that American Girl Doll published. With their original dolls, some of the older historical characters, they published 6-book series that followed a very set theme. And then they also published short story collections a little bit after that. And that is what one of them that we'll be reading today. And then we will also be reading Molly's Route 66 Adventure, which is super fun. This is another one of the kind of spin-offs that American Girl Doll did from their 6-book original series. And then some of the girls, Molly, Kit, and Samantha, had these fun travel scrapbooks about some of their adventures that they went on. So those are what we'll be reading today, but we will be starting off with Samantha Saves the Wedding. All right, so Samantha Saves the Wedding. Ready or not, here I come, a voice called out. Samantha Parkinson held her breath and tried not to move. She didn't want to give away her hiding place on the window seat behind the curtain. Suddenly, the curtain was thrust aside, and a freckled-faced girl grinned at Samantha. "Oh, Agnes, you found me too soon," said Samantha, laughing. "I'm not Agnes," whispered the girl. "I'm Agatha. May I hide with you?" "Sure," whispered Samantha. "Squinch in." So Agatha sat so close that her curls tickled Samantha's face and made her giggle. Soon, both girls were giggling so much that they didn't even hear Agnes enter the room. The curtain was thrust aside again. "That was easy," exclaimed Agnes. "You made more noise than monkeys at the zoo." Agnes looked exactly like Agatha. The twin girls were 9, just Samantha's age. Their older sister, Cornelia Pitt, was going to marry Samantha's Uncle Gard. Samantha, Agnes, and Agatha were going to be bridesmaids in the wedding. Samantha and her grandmother had been invited to stay at the Pitt family's elegant townhouse in New York City for the entire week before the wedding. They had been with the Pitts for 3 days so far, and Samantha thought it was the most fun she had ever had. Agnes kicked off her shoes and started jumping from bed to bed. "Come on," she said, "let's jump like monkeys." "But Agnes," said Samantha, "you haven't found Alice yet." Alice was the twins' 3-year-old sister. "Oops, I forgot Alice," cried Agnes. "She always hides in the sewing room. Let's go." All 3 girls rushed down the hall. Agnes and Agatha rushed everywhere. Uncle Gard said Agnes and Agatha were like woodpeckers, cheerful, red-headed, noisy, flighty, and into everything. The girls found Alice sitting on the floor of the sewing room. A blanket covered most of her, but her feet stuck out. The older girls were too kind to laugh at Alice. Agnes lifted the blanket. "Here you are, Alice," she said. "I found you at last." Alice beamed. "That means I won," she said. "Let's play again." "No, come jump on the beds with us," said Samantha. "We'll pretend we're monkeys." "That won't take much pretending," said a deep voice. The girls turned around to see Uncle Gard and Aunt Cornelia in the doorway. "Are you having fun with these 3 rowdies, Sam?" he asked. "Oh, yes," said Samantha. Cornelia gave Samantha a quick kiss. "We are all delighted to have you here," she said. "Now I need you and the twins to come with me. I have something to show you." "Our bridesmaids' dresses?" asked Agnes. Cornelia smiled and nodded. "Hurry," shouted the twins. "I want one too," wailed Alice. Samantha felt sorry for her, but then Uncle Gard said, "You come with me, Alice, and we'll practice dancing. You are going to dance with me on my wedding day, aren't you?" "Come on," cried Agatha. The 3 girls ran down the stairs to Cornelia's room and flung open the door. When they saw the lovely, lacy lavender dresses laying on the bed, they shrieked with delight. Mrs. Pitt came into the room with Grandmary. "Great Caesar's ghost, girls," she scolded. "Have a care for my poor nerves." Mrs. Pitt lowered herself into a chair and held a handkerchief to her forehead. "Yes, ma'am," said the girls. They couldn't wait to try on their new dresses and were already halfway out of their clothes. Mrs. Pitt sighed and said to Grandmary, "I think Agnes, Agatha, and Samantha are too young to be bridesmaids, but Cornelia insists upon it.
I do hope they'll behave properly during the wedding." Samantha was glad her face was hidden as she pulled her bridesmaid dress over her head. She was sure her cheeks were pink from hurt pride. How could Mrs. Pitt say such things? Samantha would never embarrass Cornelia, and especially not on her wedding day. "I'm sure they'll behave like proper young ladies," replied Grandmother calmly. "Young indeed," Mrs. Pitt said. "They are most exceptionally young." "And they will be most exceptionally fine bridesmaids," said Cornelia. "I am sure." Samantha poked her head out of her dress and flashed Cornelia a grateful smile. When all the buttons were buttoned and sashes tied, Mrs. Pitt looked at the girls with a critical eye. "You look quite presentable," she said. "You look quite presentable. Now take them off. Take the dresses off now. Don't wrinkle them." And with that, she swept out the door. Grandmary paused long enough to say, "You young ladies look absolutely charming." And then she left too. "Cornelia," said Agatha, when the girls had changed back into their usual clothes, "please, may we see your bridal gown?" Cornelia opened the double doors of her wardrobe, and there it was, a creamy white dream of a dress decorated with tiny pearls from its high collar to its flowing train. "And here's the best part of all," said Cornelia. From behind the gown, she carefully pulled a long white cascade of lace as light and fine as mist. "My veil." "Oh," gasped the three girls. Samantha sighed. "Oh, it's perfect." Cornelia touched the veil gently. "Isn't it lovely?" she said. "I'll wear it only once to mark the happiest day of my life." It will be the happiest day of her life, thought Samantha. "I'll make sure of it." "Cornelia," said Agnes, "when I get married, may I wear this veil?" "Yes, of course," said Cornelia. "And you too, Agatha. And you too, Samantha." Samantha said softly, "Thank you, but I already have a veil." Everyone looked at Samantha with curiosity. "It was my mother's," she explained. "Grandmary said it belongs to me now. I've seen it only once or twice. It's in a box in the attic in Mount Bedford." "How wonderful," said Cornelia. "Your mother has given you something precious to remember her by. I'm sure it's beautiful." "Yes," said Samantha. "It's like your veil. It's long and white and puffy as a cloud." Cornelia laughed. "My veil is as big as a cloud," she said. "In fact, I'd better find another place to keep it. I don't want it to be crushed." She grinned at the girls. "Well, my exceptional bridesmaids, run along now. I don't want you to use up all of your good behavior before the wedding. Go find Alice and get into some mischief." But the girls weren't interested in mischief. Instead, they decided to dress up as brides. Agatha found some old lace curtains in the sewing room, and each girl tied one around her waist to make a long flowing skirt, and draped another over her head to make a veil. Suddenly, Alice appeared. "I want a bride's dress too, and veil too," she demanded. "Where's mine?" There are no more curtains," said Agatha. "You can be the groom, Alice." Alice frowned. "That's no fun," she cried. The girls had to admit she was right. So Samantha made a bride dress for Alice by pinning a pillowcase around her waist. For a veil, Alice wore one of Samantha's lace petticoats tied to her head with a ribbon. The four girls practiced kneeling, sitting gracefully, and dancing. The older girls loved to swirl around and then sit down quickly to see their skirts and veils billow out about them. Alice was disappointed because her pillowcase and petticoat didn't swirl as well as the older girls' curtains did. So Samantha promised that the next time they played dress up, she could have a better skirt and veil. That satisfied Alice, and the four brides played happily together all afternoon. The day of the wedding was a wintry, gray, and cold day, but inside the Pitts house, flowers bloomed on every table. Delicious smells floated out of the kitchen, and the doorbell rang constantly, and excited voices filled the air. The four girls spent the morning upstairs smearing lemon paste on their faces to make their freckles fade. They tied their hair up in rags to make it curly. Samantha didn't actually have any freckles, and Agnes, Agatha, and Alice already had curly hair, but no one wanted to miss out on any of the fun. About noon, the four girls wandered downstairs. When Mrs. Pitt saw their lemon-pasted faces, she cried, "Great Caesar's ghosts, girls! Don't be in the way. The maid will come to help you dress at 5. Until then, you older girls keep an eye on Alice. She fluttered her hands at them and said, "Shoo!" "Yes, ma'am," said the girls, and they scooted back upstairs. Agatha asked restlessly, "What are we supposed to do all afternoon?" "Let's play hide and seek," said Samantha. "No," said Alice. "I want to play bride." "We'll do that next," said Samantha. "Quick, go hide now, Alice." After a few minutes, Samantha found Agnes and Agatha hiding under the beds. The three girls agreed that the lemon paste was making their faces itch, so they scrubbed it off. They pulled the rags out of their hair, too, and they were just about to go into the sewing room to find Alice when Cornelia called to them. "Come down, girls," she said. "Your bridesmaids' bouquets are here." The older girls forgot all about Alice, and they flew down the stairs. Grandmary, Mrs. Pitt, and Cornelia were waiting for them, and Cornelia held 3 huge bouquets of lilacs in her arms. "Here you are, ladies," she said. "Beautiful flowers for my beautiful bridesmaids." The girls buried their faces in the bouquets to smell their lovely perfume. Cornelia smiled and said, "Now take good care." Suddenly the smile left her face, and she gasped, "Alice!" Everyone turned. Alice was coming downstairs, draped in white from head to foot. Samantha stared, and then she gasped too. Alice was wearing Cornelia's wedding veil. She had hacked it in 2 and used one part for a skirt and the other part for a veil. The lace hung in tatters, and Cornelia's veil was ruined, completely, utterly, totally ruined. "Great Caesar's ghost!" exclaimed Mrs. Pitt. "No," said Alice cheerfully. "I'm not a ghost. I'm a bride. Now I have a swirly skirt, too." For a moment, no one moved or said a word. Then Grandmary groaned. Mrs. Pitt collapsed into a chair. Agnes and Agatha wailed, "Oh, Alice!" Poor Alice burst into tears. She could tell she had done something terribly wrong. Cornelia was very pale. "You older girls go to your room," said Grandmary quietly. The 3 girls trudged upstairs and flopped onto their beds. "If only we'd known Cornelia put her veil in the sewing room this morning," thought Samantha. "We could have warned Alice not to touch it. But now—" "We've got to do something," she said in a determined voice. "What can we do?" asked Agatha. "The veil is ruined. We can't fix it." "And it's 1 o'clock. The wedding's in 5 hours," said Agnes. "That's not enough time to get a new veil." "Not a new veil," said Samantha slowly. "An old veil. I have a plan." Samantha found Uncle Guard in the study. He listened to her carefully, and when she finished, he looked at his pocket watch and shook his head. "It's awfully risky, Sam," he said. "I'm not sure there's enough time to get to Mount Bedford and back, especially in this icy weather. We don't want Cornelia to be down the aisle with no veil, only to find she has no groom either." Samantha was impatient. "Please, Uncle Guard, we have to try." Uncle Guard stood up. "You're right, Sam. We do have to try. Let's go." Samantha held her coat over her head as she rushed out of the house and climbed into Uncle Guard's automobile. Sleet slashed at the windshield, and soon Samantha was being bounced and bumped as the automobile lurched along the icy, rutted roads. Uncle Guard was driving fast. Even so, it seemed to Samantha that the trip was taking ages. The sleet so blurred the view that she couldn't see familiar landmarks along the way. When they finally pulled up to Grandmary's house, Samantha hardly waited for the automobile to stop before she jumped out and ran up the slippery steps. She hammered on the door with both fists and called out to the maid, "Elsa, Elsa, it's me. Hurry, open the door." Elsa opened the door and exclaimed, "Miss Samantha! Sakes alive! Whatever's going on?" But Samantha did not stop. She ran past Elsa and pounced up the stairs to the attic. She pushed box hat and shoe boxes and dusty boxes of books out of the way until she found it, the box holding her mother's veil. Samantha lifted the lid and looked at the delicate veil. It smelled faintly of rose petals, a smell that always made her think of her mother. The soft smell of roses was reassuring. It was as if her mother were giving her blessing to the idea of letting Cornelia wear her veil. Samantha closed the box and carried it down the stairs out to the automobile. She and Uncle Guard did not talk much on the trip back to the city. Samantha knew it must be getting late because the sky was darkening. "Please let us get back in time," she thought. "Please." At 5:30, Samantha and Uncle Guard walked into the Pitts townhouse and into an uproar. Where on earth have you been? Cried Mrs. Pitt. She pushed her way towards them through a swarm of maids and musicians, waiters and florists. Samantha left Uncle Guard to explain. She hurried up the stairs to Cornelia's room and tapped on the door. Why, Samantha, said Cornelia. When she opened the door, she was already wearing her wedding gown. Everyone's been worried. Where have you been? I have something for you, Cornelia, said Samantha, and she set the box on the floor, knelt by it, and opened the lid. It's my mother's veil, she said. Cornelia sank to her knees next to Samantha. Slowly, she lifted the veil out of the box. Oh, she said with a sigh, it's so beautiful. I am honored to wear it. Cornelia had tears in her eyes, but she laughed as she said, oh, thank you, Samantha, thank you. Candles glowed in every window. The music began, exactly on cue. Agnes, then Agatha, and then Samantha walked down the flower-lined aisles to the graceful arch of greenery in front of the Pitt's hearth. Mrs. Pitt, Alice, and Grandmary smiled at the girls from the first row of chairs. Uncle Guard stood by the hearth next to the minister. His tie looked as if he had tied it in a hurry, his hair still damp, but he looked happy. His smile broadened as the three girls walked towards him. He winked at Samantha. Everyone murmured in delight as they watched Cornelia walking slowly down the aisle on her father's arm. Through the fine lace of the veil, Cornelia smiled at Uncle Guard. Then she too winked at Samantha. Samantha felt her heart fill with love. She and Agnes and Agatha stood shoulder to shoulder, three most exceptionally happy bridesmaids. The end. Now, looking back at weddings in 1904. So when Samantha was growing up, weddings were an elaborate and as elegant as a couple could afford. Society weddings like Uncle Guard and Aunt Cornelia's were splendid affairs that were filled with tradition and followed the rules of proper behavior. Young ladies and gentlemen of society met when they were formally introduced at dinner parties, dances, or balls, and they might also meet when a young lady's mother invited gentlemen to call on or visit her daughter. Once a couple had been introduced, they were permitted to court or spend time together. They might sit in the young lady's parlor, talking or playing games, or they could go bicycling or roller skating on sleigh rides or to amusement parks. When a gentleman was ready to propose, he asked his young lady for her hand in marriage. If she accepted, he asked her parents for their approval, and once they agreed, he slipped a ring onto the third finger of her left hand. This tradition followed the belief that a vein ran from that finger directly to the heart. During the engagement, couples exchanged love tokens such as flowers, locks of hair, or small portraits. They also sent each other love letters and even used their postage stamps to communicate. If the stamp was placed upside down on the left-hand corner of the envelope, it meant I love you. If it was on the line with the recipient's name, it meant accept my love. Once a young lady was engaged, she had to plan her wedding, and the first thing she did was decide on a date. For many brides-to-be, the day, the month, even the hour of the wedding had important meaning. Each day of the week and the month of the year had a rhyme that told its importance. June was one of the most popular months because it might mean an exciting honeymoon. Merry when June roses grow, over land and sea you'll go. Some people believed that the best day of all to marry was on the groom's birthday. Many brides spent months planning their wedding. They read ladies' magazines and newspaper accounts of society weddings such as Consuelo Vanderbilt's wedding to the Duke of Marlborough, the most fashionable wedding of the time. The most important thing a bride had to plan was her bridal outfit. Turn-of-the-century brides wore white silk or satin wedding gowns with graceful sweeping trains. The dresses were often embroidered with delicate flowers, pearls, lace, and ribbon. When they planned their bridal outfits, many brides followed the saying, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and a silver sixpence in her shoe. In 1906, the newspapers wrote about the White House bride, Alice Roosevelt, the daughter of President Theodore Roosevelt, and she wore a cream satin dress with an 18-foot silver brocade train. Soon after the wedding, ladies' magazines reported that silver bridal trimmings were the newest fashion. Brides often carried large bouquets. In the Victorian language of flowers, each flower a bride carried had a special meaning. Roses meant love, lilacs meant first love, lilies of the valley meant the couple would receive much happiness, and orange blossoms meant that they would have many children. Bridesmaids carried tussie-mussies or small bouquets of flowers. Many brides chose their sisters or their closest friends to be their bridesmaids, and some weddings had as many as 8 or 10 bridesmaids. Before the wedding, the bride and her bridesmaids celebrated with a luncheon and a special bridal cake, or bridesmaid's cake. It had charms baked inside, and each bridesmaid could tell her fortune from the charm she found in her piece of cake. An anchor meant adventure, a horseshoe meant good luck, a heart meant true love, a flower meant blossoming love, a key meant a happy home, and a ring meant a blissful marriage. A bride and groom got married at church or at the home of the bride's parents. Wherever the ceremony, the decorations were as elaborate as the couple's family could afford. Evergreens, potted palms, and huge displays of flowers decorated the church. At home, rooms were decorated with hearts or bells made from flowers. Many couples said their vows under a flower-covered trellis with a good luck symbol such as a bell or a dove hanging from the arch. After the ceremony, there might be food, entertainment, and dancing. As the couple left for their honeymoon, the wedding party might throw slippers at the carriage. If a slipper landed on top of the carriage, the couple were promised good luck forever. I love American Girl doll books because they give a fun little story and then they give some backstory, some history to that story as well. And it is because of American Girl doll books like this one that I read when I was growing up that I am at the History Center today reading these books to you. So it's really a fun full circle for me as well here.
That's lovely. I really enjoyed that story. Hey everyone, Libba from behind the scenes here. Thank you so much for reading that, Marie.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious, I mean, I'm sure you have quite a collection of American Girl stories and favorite stories. Why did you want to share this one today?
Well, I got married this year.
Yeah.
So that one was especially interesting to me. Getting to read about Cornelia's wedding as we, kind of wrap up the year was a little nod to my own personal life as well. And it's one of my favorite stories of Samantha's. One, because she gets to wear a lilac bridesmaid outfit, which as I was reading, I realized that I also had lilac bridesmaid outfits.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I was like, I wonder if I was influenced by my childhood favorite story when
that's
doing
adorable.
this. But I also have the American Girl doll Samantha in her bridesmaid's dress, and it is just a beautiful dress, one of my favorites from hers. There's also quite a beautiful scene in the Samantha movie where this is included in the movie, which I think it's so it's one of the few short stories that actually made its way into the film.
Right. Okay.
It's a very impactful story, and it's very sweet with Samantha, very going on this mission to save the wedding, to get the veil for Aunt Cornelia, and also letting Cornelia have this special moment with her mother veil. Her mother had passed away. So sharing that and welcoming Cornelia into the family with that as well was very, very sweet.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Yes. And it was really cool to learn about those wedding traditions. I wonder, did you incorporate any Victorian wedding traditions in your own wedding?
Yeah, so I followed the something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and 6 pence in my shoe. I had an old, actually, a dearest ring from 1860 that Stephen had given me during our engagement, a little love token during our engagement that I wore as my something old. My something new was my dress. Yeah. My
which you made yourself.
I did.
Which is amazing. And we should also mention, I'm sure you also made the beautiful outfit you're wearing today.
Actually, I did not make this one.
Really? Well, that's a new one.
My mom made this one for me when I was in 6th grade.
What? Oh my goodness, that's certainly it's very vintage in a way.
Yes, because we had oratory recital at my school where we had to pick a piece of literature that we would then recite for the class. Okay. But being a little thespian, as I am, I basically treated it like a monologue competition. And I went, and Samantha, in one of her books, I think it's actually in one of her short stories here, Samantha's Special Talent, she has a dress that's the same color as mine.
Aww.
Because in this one, she gets up and she gives a speech about progress and how we always think progress is this great thing. And it can be, but we have to make sure people don't get left behind while other people are progressing. Because she has her friend, Nellie O'Malley, who is basically caught up in child labor, working in a factory. She had been a maid, but then her parents had died, and then she got sent to, as an orphan to work in a factory. And she was thinking like, yes, we love, like everyone was talking about, oh, these new factories, they're great, they make so much things to make it so fast, and they can make it cheaper. But then Samantha's like, but child labor is really bad, and we should stop that and not praise factories until they stop using and abusing child labor.
Right.
So I gave up and gave that speech to my class wearing this dress.
That's so cool. Oh, and I see Diane is in the chat.
Hi, Mom!
Oh, Diane says, glad you still have it and can still wear it.
Yeah. You can see it's a little short on the arms. But it works.
No, that's adorable. And Alma is here. Hey, Alma!
Hello!
And I bet Gabby might be joining us a little bit later as well, but Alma says, the American Girl books made me fall in love with historical fiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too.
For sure. And Karen says, you all make my heart happy. Oh, thank you so much, Karen. Oh, and Karen also says that she has a 6-pence from her grandmother. That is so neat.
That's so cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yes, we had to go on a hunt. My husband collects coins. So we actually had a 6-pence with Queen Victoria's face on it from 1846, I think it was, that I had in my shoe.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, that was such a sweet story, and we're going to have another story coming up. Route 66 sort of going a little bit more forward in time. But before we do that, we are going to take a short break to hear from one of our sponsors and to hear from one of our tutors at Gainesville Reads. So we're going to go to our sponsor. Jessica Wade is a local realtor in Gainesville who has supported this program. We greatly appreciate her support. And let's find out a little bit more about Jessica Wade. Our telethon is sponsored in part by Jessica Wade Realtor, who strives to stay ahead of the game when it comes to real estate market technology, education, and trends so that she can always provide the best service to her clients. More information is available at www.jwadeteam.com.
I'm interested in tutoring because I was a teacher. And I know how important learning is, and I know how important literacy is. So to me, spending my retirement, some of my retirement time, doing something like this was really a no-brainer. I would actually have felt bad about my decisions had I not volunteered. So I think it's very, very important for the child actually and for the community. Well, when you work with a child one-on-one, it benefits that child to be more self-confident. So she will take that concept or that self-concept and carry it to other areas that she has experiences with. I've seen that change in my student already. In part of the program, we work on Lexia, which is a fixed phonetic, basically, program at her age. She's working on beginning letter sounds. So occasionally, she will not understand what she needs to do, and she'll get frustrated. So what I have learned to do with her is shut the program down, and then I do a teacher-directed short lesson with her to help remediate what she doesn't understand. And so that one-on-one, and now she's not frustrated anymore, she's rewarded, and she feels successful. And we'll go back to the Lexia and see if she's actually learned and can do the Lexia program. And she does. So you can't just have the computer program. You need to have that one-on-one, and you need to know your child. You need to get involved with that child. let her feel that success that she's having in the program. This is an atmosphere filled with rewards. When the children come in, they are allowed to get a snack. So right away, they know that they are going to be filled with something good. And my student, every time she comes in, I said, did you get a snack? And she'd say, no. And I'd say, go get a snack. And she'll bring me a snack too. She's a very generous child. And I'll say, no. I said, the snacks are for the children, but did your brother get his snack? And she brings the snack over to her brother. So it's a very happy, relaxed environment. I feel like we're supported by the staff here. Ruth is a wonderful support person for the program. Anything you need, just come in and she will show you or help you. So it's supportive of the child, it's supportive of the tutor. It's a relaxed environment. I don't think there's anything here that anyone who wants to be here wouldn't enjoy. I just think that the one-on-one means an awful lot for these children. And I'll tell you, honestly, I get a lot out of it too, because I'm rewarded that I'm doing something for a child that will benefit her truly for the rest of her life.
Alright, so up next we're zooming on to the 1940s. We are going to go on a Route 66 adventure with Molly McIntyre and her family. World War II has ended. Gas rationing and tire rubber rationing is gone away. It's a thing of the past. And now Americans are going on road trips again. So here we have Molly McIntyre and her Route 66 adventure. Alright, so first off, this scrapbook belongs to Molly McIntyre, in case you had any reservations. And in her scrapbook, at first, when I first bought this book, I thought, oh no, someone wrote in it. Like, oh, but actually it's part of the story. It says, Dear Molly, here's a scrapbook for your trip to California. I'll be putting my shoulder to the wheel as St. Mary's Hospital volunteer here at home. Have fun. And don't forget to get your kicks on Route 66. Love, Jill, August of 1946. P.S. Take lots of pictures. And Jill is Molly's older sister in the story. So Jill is going to stay behind on the family's road trip and as she's volunteering at the hospital that they have. So we start off in Molly's home state of Illinois. And she says, stuck, stuck, stuck. That's where I am, stuck between Ricky and Brad, her two brothers, in the back seat of the hot, stuffy car. Jill isn't coming. She's staying home for her hospital candy striping job. But is this trip necessary? That's what all the wartime posters ask when roads needed to be kept clear for troop movements. It's also a very good question to ask when you're squished between two brothers in the back seat. Dad says, we'll see the USA the American way along Route 66. He promises we'll see real cowboys and Indians and maybe Hollywood movie stars. Right now, all I see is Ricky's comic books and they're all over my part of the seat. So then we have fun little scrapbooks, pictures here. So we see Jill took this farewell picture of us. So there's the McIntyre family. Molly's dad that we see there in the photo, he had been overseas as a doctor in World War II. But in the final book of Molly's series, he comes home. And now the family's going on a fun vacation now that they're back together. And then let's see, it says, enter Royal Oil's contest today. Taking a Route 66 victory vacation with your family. Again, victory marketing. Put victory in front of everything. So a victory vacation with your family. Enter the Royal Oil Hollywood Mystery Code Contest. Stop by any Royal Oil filling station for your free Royal Oil Mystery Decoder. Get a new clue every time you stop for gas. 6 clues in all. Grand prize, a photo signed by Judy Garland, who played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Lucky winners can claim their prize at Royal Oil's brand new Hollywood filling station. So Molly says, I can't wait to enter Hollywood and Julie Garland. Here I come. So I got a free Illinois decal and a Route 66 map just for stopping at the Royal Oil filling station. The war is over and so is gas rationing. All the filling stations are giving away free stuff to get people to buy gas. Ricky's collecting model cars. I'm going to collect Royal Oil clues and decode them to win a signed photo of Judy Garland. Dorothy! Here's how my decoder works. The secret key is R6. I turn the dial so R lines up with 6, so every letter has its own secret number. The number 23, 22, 2, 2, 10 spell my name. So then she has her little Royal Oil decoder there. Let's see if I can get it out of the little thing. There we go.
Marie, I'm curious, were these things
there we go.
Like these are real? Like you actually have these fun little games from Royal Oil?
Now, I'm not sure if Royal Oil is real or a fictional thing, but
I would assume so.
I would assume so. American Girl is usually pretty good at their research stuff. But it is absolutely true that gas stations were giving away free stuff to get people used to buying gas again.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yes.
All right.
So we'll have to research if Royal Oil is real or if it's one of those things. So then you have to, line it up. Oh, actually, it's stuck, I think, so, like, you can't actually. They were like, no, you will have the right one, because this R is lined up with 6. So then it kind of teaches you how to use a fun little decoder here.
And yes, Royal Oil was formed in 1950.
There we go. So this is 46, so she's a little ahead of her time.
Oh, I see.
But we're there.
Yeah.
And then she has this fun map of the United States that folds out here. Has all of the Route 66 stuff. And then here we go. This is the route that we will be taking. So we start here in Illinois, which is where Molly's home state is. And she lives in a fictional town there. And then we're going to go all the way to Los Angeles. So let's get going. All right. So Illinois. Everyone thinks of Springfield as the home of Abe Lincoln. To me, it's the home of the Illinois State Fair and the Cozy Dogs hot dogs. Mom insisted that we tour Lincoln's home and tomb before we went to the fair. There's a big statue of Lincoln's head at his tomb. The nose is all shiny because people rub it for good luck. I rubbed it hard so I will win the Royal Oil Hollywood Mystery Code Contest. So let's rub his nose there.
There you go. Yeah.
Go up to your screen.
Gotta get
rub
good
his
luck.
nose.
There you go.
So she thought, Molly says, I thought Lincoln lived in a log cabin, but Mom said that was before he became a lawyer and then he got this nice house here.
Oh yeah, that's a big step up from his log cabin.
Yeah. She also got some mustard in her scrapbook. Oops.
Oh, that's so funny. That's such a cute little detail because of the cozy hot dogs.
Yes.
Aw.
And Molly said, Mom was right. If I had gone to the fair first, we would have never left.
Oh, yeah.
I rode practically every ride. Brad got sick on the Spitfire. You have to add those details about your brother throwing up in your scrapbook. We had cotton candy. Hooray! No more sugar rationing. And then cozy dogs. A cozy dog is a hot dog on a stick, fried in butter. Oh, so corn dogs.
Oh.
I ate 3.
Yum.
As someone who just bought a very large amount of corn dogs last night.
Oh, yeah?
I agree with Molly that they
Yeah.
are very yummy.
Yeah.
She said the fair was magical at night, and I warned Brad not to go on this ride. Oh, so this one down here, whoop, right there, that's the Spitfire that Brad got sick on.
Ooh.
All right, Missouri and the Merrimack Caverns is our next stop. So we crossed the mighty Mississippi River on the Chain of Rocks Bridge. Halfway across the river, the bridge curves sideways. I don't like that. Nope. The barns along Route 66 are all painted with giant signs that say Merrimack Caverns. You know, it's like the billboard. And I couldn't wait to get there, out of the hot car and into the cool cave. This was the 7th barn I saw advertising the Merrimack Caverns. And then that's the Chain of Rocks Bridge. In the cave, a guide led us along underground passages lit by thousands of tiny lights. The echoes and the spooky shadows sent shivers down my spine, especially when I heard that Jesse James and his gang used to hide out in this place. The guide said people have underground dances and even weddings in the cavern's grand ballroom. That's so romantic. That's cool. I want to go to a dance in a cave.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
It looks really neat. So this is the Merrimack Caverns.
Yes.
I had never heard of that, and I didn't realize that there was a Jesse James hideout.
Yes, and then we have a couple more photos of the caverns here.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Fun little pull out there.
Oh, that's so cool.
And she said, they say Jesse James' loot is still buried here. Mom wouldn't let me stay to look for it, though. Fair, I guess. All right. Up next in Missouri, that rat, Ricky. Our first time camping as a family ever, and Ricky practically spoiled the whole thing. We had a perfect campsite right next to the little piney creek, and we cooked beans in Dad's old army mess kit. We even had s'mores and baked apples, just like at Camp Go On Again, which is the camp that she attends in the book series, the original 6-book series. And then she said, this is our brand new tent. It looks like a reenacting tent. You know, nice and canvas.
It does, yeah.
Like we have here at the History Center.
Yeah.
And then she also said, I found these tracks on our hike, just like Sacagawea.
Oh, that's so fun.
And we have that as one, if you enter our raffle, you can, or is it a raffle or one of the donation tiers?
Yeah, it's kind of both. You can get
both.
you can
You-
enter
either
our,
way.
Yeah, you can enter our raffle to get a program with Sacagawea or Sacagawea, how debate on how to say it,
Yes.
but yeah.
All right, so she saw a deer and a squirrel, and then she said, I hope this one is not a bear. And then if you want her recipe for her campfire baked apples, you can remove the cores of Granny Smith apples, fill center with brown sugar, cinnamon, and raisins. That sounds good already. Wrap in foil and then bury in warm ash-covered coals for 20 minutes until soft, and then serve with a spoon. She said her recipe was a big hit.
Oh, that sounds good.
So I couldn't wait to crawl inside our brand new tent and snuggle into my sleeping bag. I felt it the minute I stuck my foot into the bag. Something long and slimy and squiggly. Ew! I tore out of the tent like lightning and ran smack into Ricky. Right away, I knew it was a trick. Ricky brought that rubber snake at the Mule Camp Trading Post. Oh, sorry, Mule Trading Post. Mule Camp Trading Post is Gainesville.
Yeah, right.
And ran and just ruined my first night camping, my first camping trip. I'll get that rat Ricky back somehow, if it's the last thing I do. I think Molly's a little dramatic,
Yeah.
but it's quite fun. All right, so then she has the receipts for the Mule Trading Post rubber snake, 10 cents.
Oh, that's so funny.
For proof that he definitely did buy it.
Yeah.
And then we said, Ricky says he doesn't know anything about any snakes, but I've got proof. And then we have, I got this at the ranger station, arithmetic, even on vacation. So she has this little ranger pull-out book here. And it has like different little things to do. So today's school children will be owners and custodians of our forest. How wisely they use them in large measure will depend on what they learn about conservation. So it has different little problems here. I'll read the first one. So a science club was studying how trees grow. They found a freshly cut stump and counted the annual growth rings. The stump was 1 1/3 feet in diameter and had 32 growth rings. How many inches in diameter had the tree grown per year? For each year of growth, a tree puts on 1 annual ring. If you like math, go ahead and put that answer in our chat.
Yeah, there you go.
And we'll see if you're correct. All right. I have the answer. I had it up
All
there.
right.
Go ahead and put it in the chat, and we'll see if anyone here knows. All right. So here we are. Next page. We stopped for lunch in Carthage, Missouri. The waitress at the diner told us the famous outlaw Belle Starr, the bandit queen, had lived there. Wow. Back in the car after lunch, Ricky kept poking me, and I wanted to draw a don't cross line on the back seat, but Dad said no. So I drew an imaginary line with my finger and told Ricky to stay on his side. I wish I could be rootin', shootin', tootin' outlaw, but I'd run Ricky out of this town. And then it says, Side saddle, maybe Belle was a bandit, but she sure was proper. And then we have Here's the Diner, where I first heard about the notorious Belle Starr. And I got these cool things at a trading post. I'm going to pretend the mask was Belle Starr. So we have a reward poster. $10,000 in gold coin will be paid by the U.S. government for the apprehension, dead or alive, of Belle Starr. All right.
I have never heard of Belle Starr. Have you heard of her?
Besides reading this book, I have not heard much about her.
Oh, maybe we should do a little research on her a little bit later. Yeah.
I'll do one of our programs.
Yeah.
And then she also has a little
Ooh, I love it. That's so cute.
All right, so next up, the family is going to Kansas. So we almost got hit by a tornado. We were listening to the radio, and all of a sudden, an air raid siren sounded with no war on. It was a tornado. It was a tornado siren. The sky turned an icky green. The air got really still. Then it started to rain and blow so hard, Dad had to pull over. We all got down on the floor of the car and waited until the rain stopped. We never did see the tornado, but I'm sure it was really close, just like in The Wizard of Oz. And she said we were only in Kansas for 13 miles, but she still got a sticker from the state. A tornado that can do this could take Dorothy over the rainbow.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's quite destructive.
Very destructive tornado. Put that house on its side. But we made it through the tornado okay.
Nice.
All right, up next is Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
We kids were all excited about crossing the Oklahoma line. Sometimes people see a ball of fire there called a spook light that bounces around the sky. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't dark enough, or I'm sure we would have seen it. We got to stop at Galloway's Totem Pole Park. They're building the world's tallest totem pole there. Tallest totem pole there. When it's done, it will be over 90 feet tall. That's 15 times taller than Dad. Ricky thought it was cool, but I know that Southwest Indians didn't build totem poles, and they certainly didn't build them out of cement.
Molly wants to get it historically accurate.
Exactly. Right? She's like, I don't care about your roadside attractions. It's not accurate. Yeah. We all know this. So she says, this is what the giant totem pole will look like when it's completed. And then she drew a picture of what she thinks a real totem pole would look like and that they are better. And then I've started singing Oklahoma, and it's driving Ricky nuts. And then 2 clues down, 4 to go. So she got another Royal Oil Hollywood Mystery Code Contest clue.
Ooh.
Jeepers! Oklahoma must go on forever. We've been driving for hours and still no cowboys or Indians. That is, unless you count Will Rogers. He was a cowboy and an Indian, part Cherokee. We learned all about him at the Will Rogers Memorial. We saw his rodeo trophies, saddles, and movie costumes. He did everything. He was a trick roper, a radio celebrity, a film star, an author, and a newspaper writer. He named his trick horse Teddy after his best friend, President Theodore Teddy Roosevelt. So there's a picture of Will Rogers and Teddy. And then she said, in Afton, the Route 66 sign is painted right on the road. The road is so narrow, it looks like a sidewalk. And the dirt is red here. It's red here in Georgia, too. Yeah. Georgia red clay. All right, we're still in Oklahoma. Near Tulsa, Mom and Dad had a surprise for us, a movie. They gave us a choice. We could see The Yearling at a regular theater, or we could see National Velvet at an outdoor drive-in theater. Even Ricky wanted to go to the drive-in. When it got dark, we snuggled under Dad's old army blankets to watch the show. So in the winter, people have to use car heaters. So there it is on the big screen, drive-in theater, Route 66, just outside of Tulsa. And then it says how to use your heater. So, yeehaw! Rodeos are the noisiest, dustiest, most exciting thing in the world. I held my breath every time a bucking bronco threw a rider. Mom bought me a cowboy hat, so I look like a real cowgirl. they're talking about having an all-girls rodeo. So I better learn how to ride fast. She said, I wonder if Teddy could do this, buck, like a bronco. And then Molly writes, Dad says the rodeo clowns have a very serious job. They keep angry bulls away from their fallen riders, which is true.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so that's why they're basically large walking distractions, so no one gets gored.
Interesting. Well, thank you, rodeo clowns.
Yes. All right, we made it out of Oklahoma. Now we're in Texas. So everything is big in Texas and long, especially the road. It goes on forever. People call this part of Texas the High Plains. I call it the Empty Plains because there is nothing to see. I bought a desert animals postcard so I could look for animals, but I think they're as hot as I am and they're all hiding. We saw a sign for a Regal Reptile Ranch. Dad wouldn't stop. Rats. I wanted to get Ricky a pet rattlesnake. And she said, this is the Texas Panhandle. It doesn't look like a panhandle to me. And then I got half of her clues. But will she ever get to Hollywood?
Oh, we'll find out. Well, we're going to have to get there pretty soon, so let's see if we can...
Well, we might have to do it faster. We might skip a couple states. It's so hot. Did I say that already? It must be 500 degrees in this car. Every time I move, my leg sticks to the seat. Mom keeps suggesting card games, but it's too hot to even think. The only game that's fun is the Burma Shave game. Burma Shave sells shaving cream, and they put rhyming signs on the road. And the first person to see a sign, usually me, gets to read all the signs and the rhyme out loud. This is my favorite. Past schoolhouses, take it slow. Let the little shavers grow. Burma Shave. All right, we're still in Texas. All right, how about we skip to New Mexico?
Yeah, let's go to New Mexico. All right, here we go.
All right.
New Mexico.
Hola from New Mexico. It feels more like old Mexico to me. In some towns, more people speak Spanish than English. I finally got Ricky back. Dad found the greatest desert swimming hole. It's called the Blue Hole because it's so blue and deep. We changed into our suits behind some yucca plants. Ricky was so busy showing off, he left his clothes behind. And guess what was gone when he went back to look? It was his clothes. In case you couldn't figure that out. So we passed through a tiny town that was having a fiesta. There was singing and dancing everywhere. Dad bought me a beautiful heart-shaped charm called a milagro. Milagro means miracle in Spanish. He said my milagro will remind me of my love for my friends, family, and the whole world. And it's a reminder that miracles happen every day. We're halfway to Santa Monica, only 1,119 miles to go. That's today's miracle.
Yeah, let's go to Arizona next.
Yeah. The Painted Desert looks as if someone took a giant paintbrush and brushed red, purple, and bruised strokes all over the rocks. Really? In the petrified forest, we climbed on giant stone logs. Dad said 150 million years ago, the logs were buried in the sand, and water seeped into them and filled them with minerals. And that's why they're rock hard and filled with beautiful crystals. I felt like I was in a forest full of jewels. That looks beautiful.
That is beautiful. Why don't we go to Nevada?
Nevada, Boulder Dam. I thought California was our last state, but Dad wanted to take a quick, quote-unquote, side trip off Route 66 to Nevada to see the Boulder Dam. Mom said the dam is only 93 miles from California. And my last clue, royal oil. So I guess I can wait. Dad was nervous about driving on top of the dam. Yeah, I would be too. On the Lake Mead side, the water is 500 feet deep. Wow. All right, but then they finally made it to California. Yay! California at last. We drove for miles across the hot, hot sand of the Mojave Desert. And when we reached Santa Monica, we headed straight for the Santa Monica Pier on the Pacific Ocean. As soon as Dad stopped the car, I jumped out and ran to touch the water. I tasted it too, to make sure it was salty. There was a giant carousel on the Santa Monica Pier, and I rode it twice. We hung a water bag on our car's hood. As long as we kept moving, the water kept our engine cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then we get to
Hollywood!
Woo!
So I had fun at the pier, but I wanted to get to Hollywood right away to get my prize. But first, Mom wanted to stop at the forecourt at the Grauman's Chinese Theater. She wanted to see the star's footprints. By the time I got to the Royal Oil Station, I was so nervous. What if I got all my clues wrong? But I was right. The secret message was, there is no place like home.
Oh, that's cute.
That's what Dorothy says to Auntie M. And there's no place like some of the other places I've seen on Route 66 either. And then we see it. It's her prize, Judy Garland. Well, I didn't get to meet Julie Garden, but guess what? I got lots of kicks on Route 66.
Oh, that was so fun.
Yay.
And we made it.
We made it
all the
to
way.
Hollywood.
And we have a very generous donation from Elizabeth. Thank you so much for your $400 donation, Elizabeth. That really means a lot to us, and that's gotten us into the 3,000 level now.
Yay.
Thank you so much. That is really awesome.
Yes.
And that was so much fun, Marie. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. That was so much fun.
Yeah. And you know, you can also check out more of Marie's live streams about American Girl dolls, the history behind their stories on our YouTube channel. That was really fun. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And next up, we're going to go right into our next program after we hear from a sponsor. But Marie, is there anything you would like to say about your love of American Girl stories before we head out?
These are what got me interested in reading and also interested in history, and that's what we're trying to do here with Gainesville Reads. I always like to kind of peruse the bookshelves when I walk by. We have this nice big wooden bookcase, and I always am interested. I'm like, oh, what are the kids reading nowadays?
Yeah.
And I always, I'm so happy when I see American Girl doll books that the kids get to pick, or some of the other books that I loved growing up that got me interested in reading in history, like the Dear America series, the Royal Diary series, the My America series. Those are some of my favorites, and you got to start them young.
Yeah.
And then they'll just keep growing and learning and loving history and reading and education. So this is really what started it for me. And we're trying to do that for the kids here at Gainesville Reads. So whatever you can donate, that helps us. And we thank you so much for everyone who has donated and is watching. And we just appreciate y'all so much.
Our telethon is sponsored in part by Preparatory Learning Academy, whose mission is to educate young children today by giving them the tools they need for a successful tomorrow. Preparatory Learning Academy provides preschool programs that help children learn to communicate, collaborate, and think critically and creatively. More information is available at www.preparatorylearningacademy.com.
Buenos días y gracias por acompañarme hoy en esta hora de leer. Yo soy Guada Rodríguez y hoy vamos a leer Esquivel, un artista del sonido de la era especial. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining me on this hour of reading. I'm Guada Rodriguez and today we will read Esquivel, an artist from the sounds of a special era. De niño, Juan García Esquivel vivía con su familia en Tampico, México, rodeado de la música de los mariachis, sus alegres expresiones y el rasgueo de sus guitarras. As a child, Juan García Esquivel lived with his family in Tampico, Mexico, surrounded by music, the mariachis, their happy expressions, and the lovely sounds of their guitars. A los 6 años de edad, Juan sintió curiosidad por la música. En su casa había un piano. Era en realidad un pianola, instrumento que tiene un rollo de papel porferado que indica qué teclas tocar. El ingenioso Juan se le ocurrió una idea. Desconectó el rollo de papel y convirtió la pianola en algo que él podía utilizar para practicar. Tocaba día y noche. At the age of 6 years old, Juan had a curiosity for music. In his house, there was a piano. And in reality, it was a grand piano. The instrument had a roll of paper, perforated, which indicated what keys to play. The smartness of Juan, he came up with an idea. And so he disconnected the roll of paper and he would play the keyboard at night. A los 10 años, Juan estaba fascinado por la música. Él le encantaba tocar el piano, a cualquier hora y en cualquier lugar. A veces se iba de su casa en busca de público y su familia tenía que salir a buscarlo. Siempre lo encontraban sentado a un piano. At the age of 10 years old, Juan was so fascinated by the music. He loved playing the piano in anywhere and at any time. And sometimes he was in search for a public to listen to him play. And he would go out and search for them. Cuando la familia de Juan se mudó al Distrito Federal, la animada capital del país, Juan encontró un trabajo tocando el piano en la primera emisora de radio que retransmitía las 24 horas del día. Juan tocaba 15 minutos diariamente y ganaba los pesos por concierto, lo suficiente para comprarse un sándwich y volver a su casa en taxi. Tenía 14 años. When his family and Juan moved to the city of Mexico, Distrito Federal, Juan found a job and he played the piano. And he would play the piano on a radio station that transmitted music 24 hours a day. Juan would play 15 minutes daily, which was enough for him to afford a sandwich and a ride back home in a taxi. Entonces, Juan empezó a aprender todo lo que acerca de música por su cuenta, sin maestros, ni clases, ni escuelas. Sin formación académica, Juan se concentró en la combinación de sonidos hasta que se sintió capaz de crear sus propias melodías a los 17 años. le ofrecieron un trabajo como director de orquesta en un popular programa radiofónico de humor. Juan aceptó el trabajo encantado. And so Juan started to work on his music without any teachers, without any classes, without being in a proper institution, with no academic information. Juan found himself in a combination of sounds until he was able to compose his own melodies. And at the age of 16 years old, he found another job. Cuando el animador del programa necesitaba música para una escena cómica como la de un hombre robusto que paseaba sus perritos caniche por una transitada calle, Juan tenía que imaginarse cómo era ese sonido. Entonces, Juan le pedía al timbalero que imitara el sonido del caminar pesado y lento de un gigante. ¡Tum, tum, tum, tum! Les pedía a los clarinetes y oboes que hicieran el sonido de un delicado caniche. ¡Titi! Y a las trompetas y trombones que lograron el sonido de las ruidosas bocinas de los autos. ¡Titi, tutu, tutu! So Juan is making the sounds of what it would sound like if you were near a heavily transited environment with a lot of cars going toot toot toot. Juan ensayaba, mezclaba, combinaba y componía todo tipo de sonidos para representar cada situación. Era un artista que utilizaba toques y matices de colores para recrear un vivo paisaje. Pero en lugar de pintura, Juan usaba sonidos singulares y bulliciosos. So Juan is painting, but he is painting with music. Y Juan comenzó a experimentar con canciones populares mexicanas. Probaba con diferentes tempos, haciendo las canciones lentas para luego avivarlas. Manipulaba la dinámica, pasando de sonidos muy suaves y relajantes a otros fuertes y alarmantes. Alteraba acordes y combinaba diferentes instrumentos para lograr un sonido emocionante. Ensoñador y muchas veces simpático, porque a Juan le gustaba que su música hiciera reír a la gente, pero detrás de ese humor se necesitaba un gran talento para interpretar la música innovadora de Juan Esquivel. So Juan is making music, and he has found this love to make Mexican music. And he also enjoys making people laugh when they are listening to his music. But behind his humor, he is in need of a great talent to interpret the music that is innovative by Juan. Hasta entonces, nadie había escuchado una música como la de Juan. En poco tiempo empezó a recibir premios. Sus canciones se grababan y sus álbumes se vendían en las tiendas. La música innovadora de Juan se podía oír en todas las emisoras y tocadiscos de México. Su música llegó a oídos de un importante sello discográfico de Estados Unidos y no duraron en invitarlo a grabar. So Juan has become bigger. He even got a contract to sing with a label from the United States. Juan empacó 2 trajes, se compró un auto deportivo convertible grande, y rojo, con capota blanca, y manejó hasta la ciudad de Nueva York. So Juan has now bought himself a sporty convertible car that is red, and he is embarked on a journey to New York. En Nueva York encontró una tienda de música del tamaño de unos grandes almacenes, con 3 pisos llenos de instrumentos raros y exóticos. He has now found himself in a store, big store, of 3 levels, each filled with instruments. Vio bubams, unos tubos de bambú con los que se conseguía una melodía. He has found himself bubams, which are made of bamboo, that make a melody like clunk, ting, tok. También un instrumento electrónico con un sonido característico y agudo llamado theremin. He has found an instrument called theremin. Se encontró con una buzimba, una especie de marimba electrónica que se toca con un mazo. He has found himself a buzimba, and he goes like bzz, bzz. Vio un ondolín, un órgano con el teclado oscilante, and he has found himself an organ, an ondolín. Y hasta un gong gigante, and also a big gong. Every time he hits it, it goes gong, just vibrates. Con tantos sonidos raros y nuevos que tocar, Juan se encontraba en el paraíso. He feels like he is in paradise now. En el final de la década de 1950 y el principio de la década de 1960 fue una época genial para grabar música. Los científicos habían descubierto un nuevo proceso llamado estereofónico o estéreo. Este proceso separaba los sonidos de manera que cuando escuchabas una grabación, la música parecía venir del lado izquierdo, al lado derecho o ambos lados al mismo tiempo. Para un artista del sonido como Juan, el estéreo era otro atractivo color para su paleta musical. So Juan has now found himself in front of a radio or a stereo. And this is the perfect time for him to make music. We are in a decade of the 50s and early 60s, and so he has found himself another color to use in his palette of musical colors. Para conseguir una buena grabación de sonido, con sonido estereofónico, los instrumentos se tienen que grabar por separado. Así el tip 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 de las trompetas no se mezclaba con el de las flautas. Algunos directores de orquesta utilizaban cortinas, pantallas o cubículos especiales para separar los instrumentos. Para Juan, eso no era suficiente. Una vez coloca la mitad de su orquesta en un estudio y la otra mitad. So, Juan is explaining that he is in a studio, but each instrument has to be recorded separately. But Juan has come up with an idea of regrouping half of the people in his band to record in one room and the other half records in another room. En otro ubicado en el extremo opuesto del mismo edificio, tan lejos que parecían estar separados por una cuadra de distancia, los músicos usaban auriculares para poder escuchar lo que tocaban y para que solo ellos pudieran verlo. Juan dirigía la orquesta por circuito de televisión. So Juan is directing his orchestra through television because they are separated by a long corridor that seems to stretch very long. Juan añadió otro truco más. trajo cantantes para que no cantaban palabras, sino sonidos. Sonidos como su, 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 du, bow. So Juan has brought in other people to incorporate sounds. Not lyrics, not voices, but sounds. Juan hacía extravagantes versiones de canciones populares, cambiando la letra que todos conocían para sonidos divertidos y originales que reproducían los cantantes. So he is coming up with original versions of songs that have already been composed, but he is tweaking them a little bit for his new audience. A la gente le encantaba la música de Juan. Los transportaba a otros mundos, a otros planetas. Sonaba como un cohete enloquecido zigzagueando a través del espacio. His people loved Juan's music. They transported them to other worlds, other planets, zigzagging in a spaceship in space. Cuando Juan no trabajaba en sus insólitas composiciones, disfrutaba de muchas otras actividades. Apreciaba el arte, los autos de lujo y la ropa elegante, le agradaban las mujeres bonitas, pero lo que más le gustaba era la música. So Juan had all these other enjoyments, all these other joys in his life, art, beautiful, luxurious cars, and of course his spouse, but he most appreciated music. Grabó muchos discos y tocó en cientos de conciertos con su orquesta. He recorded so many discs and he played in so many places with his orchestra. Juan y su orquesta tocaron en el Stardust Hotel de Las Vegas durante 14 años consecutivos. Sus admiradores, entre ellos cantantes y actores famosos, llegaban de todas partes para escuchar sus maravillosos sonidos. Juan también compuso música para docenas de películas y programas de televisión, uno de ellos dirigido al público infantil. So Juan played at the Stardust Hotel in Las Vegas for 14 years consecutively. And he played for a lot of actors, a lot of famous people, even movies and television shows. Y a Juan dejaron de llamarlo Juan. Había explorado las fronteras del sonido, descubriendo infinidad de posibilidades musicales. Cambió y mejoró la idea que se tenía de la música y de la forma de escucharla y disfrutarla. Ahora Juan era para todos el artista del sonido de la era especial, conocido sencillamente como Esquivel, entre signos de exclamación. So Juan explored the frontiers of sounds. He found an infinite possibilities with music. And he became known as the artist of the sounds of a special time. And he was known humbly as Esquivel.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Guada.
It was a lovely story.
Yeah. And you know, I wasn't familiar with, now, please help me with his name. Could you say it again?
Esquivel.
Juan Esquivel. And thank you so much. That was really cool to hear that in both, and to hear the story in Spanish and then have you tell us what was going on for us English only speakers. Ruth on YouTube says storytime with Ruth is storytime with Guada is so much fun. Alma also says Gracias por el cuento.
Oh, of course.
And she says, I love the pictures. They remind me of the Mayan drawings, temples. Yeah, there is that sort of aesthetic to them, indeed. And we also, I really want to thank our most recent donor.
Yay.
Yes, thank you so much. To Robert and Karen. Robert and Karen Alderton donating $200. Thank you so much. We so appreciate that generosity. Yes. Thank you so much. Karen on Facebook says, gracias, la hora de cuentos en español con Guada.
Yay!
Yeah. And I wasn't familiar with Esquivel before this. Were you, Guada? Had you heard his music before?
Actually, no.
yeah, and it's really, really cool. I encourage people to check it out, and we're going to play a clip of one of his pieces, which is titled Dark Eyes, and I think you'll sort of get a sense for those layers of music and the colors of the music, so to speak. Yes. So let's take a listen to this piece by Juan Garcia Esquivel called Dark Eyes. Here we go. All right, and we are back. Wasn't that cool? I really enjoyed that that piece. I'm definitely going to be checking out more of Esquivel's music.
Me too.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say, earlier Elizabeth Vetter donated $400. Thank you so much. And she also had this message to share with us. Happy to be a new member this year. Programs and events offered are great. I put all my raffle tickets into drawing for the hand-sewn bundle by Marie. The art of quilting is amazing. Well, you certainly have a good chance of winning examining that, and it's absolutely beautiful. So thank you again so much, Elizabeth, for your generosity. Now we have another Spanish language story with Guada, and you know what, Guada, I think it's probably best for you to take it away so I don't butcher the Spanish, but I gotta say it's so fun to hear the Spanish language and then have the English translation so that we can really appreciate it and make those connections. So yeah, let's. Alma on Facebook asks, who is the author again? Most of our friends are in Spanish dual immersion for elementary school, and I want to add this book for Christmas gifts. Oh, that's an excellent idea. Yeah, let me go ahead and I'll go back to the author page for this book. Now, this is actually, we're using one of the services that we use for Gainesville Reads, which is called Epic Books, and it is an excellent library of digital books. So many cool tools as well, like a Read to Me tool. They have really cool videos and read-along stories. So here is the cover. So this book, I'm going to go back to the cover for Guada here. Let's see. So it is by Susan Wood and illustrated by Duncan Tonatiuh. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, so that's called Esquivel. That was really fun. And Karen says that her son Jack is making me look up this musician. Yes, please check out his music. Such a cool story, and I'm really excited to listen to that later. So thank you so much, Guada, for sharing that with us.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure.
Yeah, and we are going to dive into another Spanish language story. And Guada, I'll let you take it away from here. Let me go ahead and get things set up for you. There you go.
So we are going to read Águila que Camina, El Niño Comanche by Ana Ulate and Nivola Uya. So vamos a leer el cuento Águila que Camina, El Niño Comanche. Águila que Camina continuó su camino por el sendero. Lo esperaban como cada día al atardecer. Contaba cuentos, historias narradas sin palabras. Águila que Camina no hablaba, pero con sus gestos, su expresión, su sonrisa y su mirada comunicaba todo lo que escuchaba, necesitaba oír. So Águila que Camina loves to tell tales and stories, but he does not speak. Águila que Camina expresses his stories with his face, with his gestures, with sounds. Era un niño sambo, nació así. Cuando pudo ponerse de pie, siendo chiquito, y mirar la forma que dibujaban sus piernas con la orientación de sus pies hacia el interior. His feet are standing like this. This is a child, and he is learning how to walk. Con la orientación de sus pies al interior, vio que tomaban la forma de un corazón, and he has noticed that his footsteps have taken the shape of a heart. Pertenecía a la tribu Comanche, originaria de las montañas rocasas. Los llamados señores de las praderas, pero también formaba parte de la naturaleza. Águila que Camina se fundía con los árboles, se perdía entre los bosques, los animales se le acercaban y él, sin miedo, los miraba a los ojos. So Águila que Camina pertained to a tribe known as Comanche, originally from the mountains of Rocosa, mountains from very big like mountains. You know, it's not a clear path where he is living. And Águila que Camina would go to the bushes, to the trees to find animals, and he wanted to be close to them, and he was not afraid, and he would look them in the eyes.
Let's see. Here we go.
El niño nacido para cabalgar, disculpen, tenía piernas que formaban un corazón, para fusionarse con su alma gemela, su caballo pinto, a lomos del que volaba galopando y llevando sus historias. So, Águila que Camina is a child born to ride horses. And his feet, the footprints that forms are hearts. And you see, that reason is happening because he needs his soul will fuse with his horse, Caballo Pinto, and they will travel on together.
Oh, I'm just going to show these beautiful art illustrations here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love I love them riding off. Very magical there. Yeah. All right, we're going to go to our next page. There you go.
Avanzaba por el sendero de tierra roja. So he's traveling on red dirt now. Un sendero que bordeaba un río que circundaba una cadena de montañas. So he's traveling by a river, and the river is traveling by the mountains.
Here we go. Anyway.
Águila que camina llevaba en su cabeza su tocada de plumas. So he has a what is like a crown on his head with feathers. Después de escuchar su cuento, cada tribu le otorgaba ceremoniosamente una pluma de águila majestuosa. So every time Águila que Camina completes sharing a story or a tale, he is giving one of these feathers, como obsequio, como ofrenda del legado recibido, like an offering. It's a gift for the stories that he is sharing. Y todas esas plumas de sus diferentes hermanos, como a Águila que Camina le gustaba llamarlos, formaban ese tocado especial, el que coronaba su cabeza y acompañaba sus relatos. So each feather on his head, they were each given by who he calls his brothers, and they accompany him on his journey. He's wearing his feather crown. Antes de llegar al lugar donde lo esperaban para escuchar su historia, el niño Comanche se sentaba en su banco imaginario hecho de hojarasca y de arcilla mezclada con recuerdos diversos. So before he will begin to narrate and share a story, he will sit on a little stool and kind of set himself in that mindset. Allí cerraba los ojos. Here he will close his eyes. Descansaba. He is resting and dreaming. Y entonces sentía un remolino interior, como un torbellino, algo inexplicable, una emoción fuerte, la piel de gallina, el ritmo de su corazón galope. So here he is, of course, in his state of mind now, and he is entering that worldly of stories and tales. Oía unas risas envueltas en perfume de flores y una voz de mujer de ojos chisposos que lo llamaba Águila que camina. Recuerdos maternales que el viento a veces le soplaba. Sometimes he would get these messages, almost like from the wind. And he would hear a voice from a woman screaming, Águila que camina, screaming, calling for his name. Ese remolino, esa voz, ese perfume, Sí lo sabía. Era lo que lo animaba a continuar por su camino, con su caballo y sus cuentos, atravesando territorios, luchando por conseguir que los pueblos se diesen la mano al escuchar sus historias. So he is saying that his what spirit, his energy, what gives him that energy to continue on his journey and sharing stories is that voice that he hears, that the wind brings to him. And his mission now is to have all these people come hand in hand to hear his stories. Águila que camina, el pequeño Comanche, era un niño indio que llevaba cuentos a las diferentes tribus, cuentos que transmitían unión, solidaridad, manos que se entrelacen, temor vencido. So Águila que camina is saying here that he is a child carrying stories, carrying these tales that he shares to different tribes. And he wants to transmit this union and this union of hands coming together without fear. Cuentos que inspiraban historias de guerreros que depositaban sus lanzas, que hacían sentir los aullidos de lobos, el aleteo de alas en la tierra y en el cielo. Águilas majestuosas y que observan y guían nuestro camino. So here he is mentioning the eagles, the sounds, the howls of the wolves. He is mentioning sounds of animals and how these sounds can often help guide our journey. Al color de la lumbre, sus gestos acompañaban historias de las que resuenan como un eco. En sus manos, Águila que camina hacía sentir la luz de la luna llena, la brisa del viento, el chisporroteo del fuego. So near the fire, his gestures, he is talking, he is sharing his stories, but in his hands, he carries the light of the full moon and its warmth. Mientras, con gestos contaba sus historias, una hebra blanca y luminosa aparecía y unía naciones, países, continentes. So while he is doing all of these gestures as he's sharing his stories with people, there is a light, like a form of unity being shared through his gestures with the people that he is sharing his stories with. Un hilo mágico y invisible tejía un enorme tipi en el que todos unían sus corazones y se reunían al calor del fuego. Al son del tambor y de los cantos de la luna, todas las tribus de indios americanos conseguían que colores diferentes de piel se fundieron en una sola y dedos de diferentes tamaños y tonalidades se entrelazasen. So here we are, everyone who's part of the story and is gathered around him, listening to him, they are becoming very close to each other through this sharing of tales and through the warmth of the fire and the warmth of his hand movements and the warmth that he is expressing and sharing. El niño del tocado de plumas y piernas en forma de corazón continuó su camino por el sendero. Lo esperaban, contaba cuentos. Cuentos narrados sin palabras. So this child with the crown of feathers and the feet with the soul of a heart. He continues his journey, walking through El Sendero, where he is going to share more stories with other people, but without any words. And this might be where the story ends.
Yeah, so he's going to share his story. That was really beautiful. That was wonderful. I really love the illustration in this one as well. Now, were you familiar with this this tale before?
Not exactly. I've read it prior to today.
Yeah.
But hadn't heard it before.
Yeah, and what do you take away from this story?
I love it. I think it's kind of like one of those stories that you have to share almost in quietness to grasp the full message of the story. I feel like there's this big message of unity through the telling of tales, but Águila que Camina keeps expressing that he is not using words to tell his stories. He's using sounds and gestures and his hands.
Yeah. So it's kind of universal in a sense. So it kind of makes it a story that you can share with anyone. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. And Jack in the chat says, gracias por leer. I'm assuming that means thanks for reading. Yes.
Of course.
Wonderful. Well, Guada, talk to me about the stories that you enjoyed growing up. Were you a big reader growing up? What was that like for you?
That's a great question, Luba, because this telethon has actually allowed me to reflect on my own childhood and growing up. Where I was my mother's only daughter, so I feel like she probably wanted to take a different route with me for some reason. And so growing up, she would definitely take me to the library, and I'm kind of like an outlier, so everyone in my family is older than me, so I was just like her only child at the time.
Yeah.
And we'd go to the library, and she would read books to me in Spanish, of course, because that is her language, and I would just sit there and listen and just see the whole world in my head, and I loved it. And she would allow me to get books, and whichever language I preferred, English or Spanish at the time. And I just think it's a beautiful way of connecting.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you drawn to particular kinds of stories as a kid?
Mostly scary stories.
Oh, really? That's kind of surprising, to be honest, because you're so sweet. It's just, it's surprising that, now when you say scary stories, are we talking like Goosebumps or,
yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Me too. That was super fun.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, Leslie's over here saying, yeah, yes. Goosebumps too. Oh yeah, definitely. Well, that's wonderful, and thank you so much for offering this Spanish story hour. We thought it was really cool to include Spanish language story hour, since so many of our students at Gainesville Reads come from Spanish-speaking households, and boy, do I regret taking French in high school. I really wish I took Spanish now, but I'm certainly excited. I do. It is a goal of mine to learn some conversational Spanish, so maybe I'll get your help with that, Guada. But
yeah.
But thank you so much for this story hour, for reading Esquivel and, okay.
Un águila que camina.
Águila que camina, yes! And again, folks, if you're curious about, this is a great example of the stories that we have available on Epic, which is the digital library of stories that all of our students at Gainesville Reads have access to. So it's a really great resource. We've gotten a lot out of it, and I'm so happy that we got to share a few of these today. Thank you again, Guada. That was so great to have this story time with you. And next up, we are going to take a break. We're going to hear from our sponsors and some of our tutors, and then we were going to get ready. It's going to be perfect time for lunch, because we are going to show one of our 2022 members only season mini docs, which Guada is hosting or hosted, the origins of Southern cuisine. So stick around for our 12 p.m. program. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and hear from our sponsors. And of course, it's also a great time to donate. So, and thank you everyone who has donated so far. I mean, we're already really close to our goal. I know we're going to make it to 5,000. Maybe we'll even go over 5,000. That's all up to you. But thank you so much. Karen says, Karen said, same here, Libba. French has proved to be not so useful. I know, like, I thought it was because, like, I like the sound of the French language. I also know that, some of my ancestry is French, so that's what sort of drew me to it. And it was cool learning it, but Spanish would have been so much more useful. I have not run into a French person. Like, the one time I ran into it, I could use it. I was a server at, when I was working at a restaurant in high school, and finally I had a French couple come in, and I could take their order in French, but that was my one and only claim to fame. So next, definitely going to be brushing up on my Spanish. All right, folks, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to hear from our sponsors and from one of our tutors, and then we'll get ready for the origins of Southern cuisine.
Yay!
Our telethon is sponsored in part by the Arts Council of Gainesville. The mission of the Arts Council is to enhance, educate, and expand public interest in the arts throughout Northeast Georgia. We'd like to thank the Arts Council for donating 2 tickets to its Summer Music Fest for our raffle. More information about the Arts Council is available at www.theartscouncil.net.
I became a volunteer for Gainesville Reads because I've always loved reading, and I wanted to share that love with someone else, even if it's a younger student, but I love to read. So one of my coworkers put it on her Facebook account. I was like, because it was the first time I had heard about it. And I clicked on it, and it said that they were looking for tutors, so I was like, I might as well apply. And yeah, I saw that like the time commitment was only 1 hour a week, so it is very doable. So that's why I'm here. Definitely, definitely. My student is a 2nd grader. He's very funny, and he struggles with reading, but from what I've experienced with him, he likes to read, and he's getting more motivated each time that he comes and sees me. So yeah, it's awesome. It makes me motivated too to keep on coming and keep on sharing that love for books with him. So my student sometimes gets distracted a lot, but I've noticed that when he comes, he knows now what our routine is like, so he knows that when he comes to see me, he needs to go grab a book and find a book and which color it needs to be. So then he's like, nope, that's not blue. So it's more of he's getting to know our routine, and he's excited. At the beginning he was scared, so I'm glad that it's gotten better. So before, when he would come and read with me, he would always say, can you read it to me? Can you read it to me? Because he didn't want to read. But now after I read the book the first time, he will say, I want to read it now. So that's an improvement that I've seen with his motivation too. I would say that this program is important because we are able to give some students the opportunity to have someone else to read with. I know that maybe with a parent it might be harder, or they might have work to do or other responsibilities, but this program is very beneficial for Gainesville because our kids are our future, we are our future, so we need to be out there. From what I've experienced, I think it's a playful, peaceful environment where I know the kids are comfortable being themselves and, you know, being sad or being happy, whatever it may be, that they are comfortable to be who they are and to try to learn more. So they're doing a great job. I think they're always very organized and try to have everything ready for us so that it's not really hard for us either. So we enjoy it too.
What would you tell someone who's going to become a tutor or who's interested in participating?
Not to think too much about it, to just apply and come and do it.
Our telethon is sponsored in part by the JCs of Gainesville, Georgia. Founded in 1945, the purpose of the Gainesville Junior Chamber of Commerce, JCs, is to positively impact our community by developing connected, engaged, capable leaders through planning and facilitating community service projects. More information is available at www.gainesvilljcs.org.
All right, so my name is Diana Mancilla, and I am actually a teacher at Gainesville High School right now. And I've been with the Gainesville Reads program since the beginning, since we started and launched the program. And it was actually a program that started when I was an intern at the History Center, and that's when me and my director, Liva, talked about this project, and then it became a reality and we took off. All right, so my name is Diana Mancilla, and I am actually a teacher at Gainesville High School right now. And I've been with the Gainesville Reads program since the beginning, since we started and launched the program. And it was actually a program that started when I was an intern at the History Center, and that's when me and my director, Liva, talked about this project, and then it became a reality and we took off. Well, it connected to me, like I said, it started when I was an intern here, and of course education is my passion to start with. I'm a teacher at Gainesville High School, like I said before, but more than anything, like you said, I was a student who came here older, so I had a language barrier, and I thought at the moment that was the need of a community to put more focus on a program that it will help students like me that navigates between two languages to make it easier or to break that wall with literature, right? It's one thing that you can speak both languages, but if you actually can speak them and read them and comprehend them, it helps you in school in another great level that it wasn't there. I mean, our program is really reaching to every single aspect, the need of an education right now that we have. And we have seen that growing, like especially this year, like we have been having the longest waiting list for our program because the need is there. I mean, students were not 100% on full years education in the past 2 years, so it's a greater need than what we had or what the original idea of Gainesville Reads was for. A parent came to me. We did have a severe weather impact at the History Center that day, and we closed for the day, and then we actually had technicians and people here working where we couldn't have hosted Gainesville Reads that day. Then the next week, a parent came to me and told me that her daughter wanted to come to Gainesville Reads, and she couldn't, like she was very upset because she keeps telling the mom that, but she wanted to come. And she wasn't understanding that it was the installation, so what we had, it wasn't appropriate. And since it wasn't safe for her, like we had to close the museum and we'll come back the next week. And she was like, no, but I want to go because I want to see my tutor and I had fun there. So those were the specific words from a parent. So that is exactly, I think, our goal, or the goal of the program. Not only personally of mine, but I think this is a place where students come here and they are seeing literature in a different way. They're receiving skills. They are helping them to become more successful at school and with their reading and whatever struggles they have. But more than anything, they come here and they see the tutor like with the person that cares for them, and they can build a strong bond, and they're looking forward every week. I can remember one of our graduate students, like his mom came to me and was crying and was so happy that when he started the program with us, he was completely under level in reading skills. And let's take in consideration that was in COVID. Then COVID hits, and we went virtual, and then we continued with the program. But then when our student graduated, her biggest message was like he was graduating with an A grade level reader, and he was a 5th grader. All our students have growth in a different ways. Confidence is has been one of the big challenges, because we certainly have getting students that are definitely in a station, or they're just in a point where I can't mode. We team up with our assistant program manager, Ruth. She creates the curriculum, and with the tutor and with the parents, and we create a team where our biggest goal is to move from I can't to I will try. And I think that's the biggest growth that I have seen with, at least, I would say with all of my students. I was going to say, well, at least majority, but all of our students have been moved from I can't, I don't want to I will try, or I will give my best. And that is a huge progress, because they can take that and take it to school and try, whether they are afraid or not. I love to be able to, when the parents come to me, and I love to be able to say hello to my mom that speaks only English, and to be able to say hola to the mom that speaks Spanish, to be able to communicate and tell the parent, it's okay, this is what we are working on, and that for that parent to understand what I'm saying and exactly what their child is going through within their education, and what are the tools or skills that we can implement for that specific struggle, and for them to be able to be clear, because once they understand what it is, they get involved too. It's a huge difference than to give them a letter that they don't understand, than to provide them a calendar or agenda that we create in English and Spanish. I think it just creates a team that surrounds that kid to be more confident and to be more open. Like, he's understood by the tutoring program, he's understood by the school system, and then he goes home and his mom understands where he or she are at and what do they need to do, and it's okay. So as a parent, I couldn't be more blessed to be part of this program, not only for him, because as a teacher, my heart is also with all the children. I feel completely grateful and blessed to be in this position where my son is part of the program. But more than anything, I mean, when he graduates, I'm gonna still be here, or I hope I'm still here, and I'm still able to help all of the other children, because it's not just about him. It's about the need that we have in the community right now, and it's happening right now. So we need all the help that we can get right now.
Hi, I'm Guada Rodriguez. I am a media producer for the Northeast Georgia History Center, and today's topic for our mini doc is the history of Southern food. I've heard other terms used such as comfort food and soul food, and I don't know if there is a difference, but we will surely find out together. I'm originally from the West Coast. I moved from California to Georgia and was surprised to learn about grits and all the chicken factories around here. But moving along, we have a panel of amazing experts that will dive into the history of Southern food. To learn more about the origins of Southern foods, Marie interviewed 3 experts. Jackie Garvin is a food writer for her blog Syrup and Biscuits, and she is the author of 2 cookbooks. Jackie's family has a long history in the South, and it was her grandmother who inspired her to share her love of Southern food with others. Dr. Kenal Bala is a food historian and professor at the University of the Pacific who can tell us more about the ways in which food was influenced by culture. And Adrienne Miller, food writer and James Beard Award winner who specializes in African American food traditions. So Marie, I think we should first start off with defining what Southern food is.
Well, that's what we're going to try to do in this program, but as we started to really dig our teeth into what Southern food is, it became harder and harder to define. And I talked to Dr. Albala about this, as we see there are lots of different cultures and different influences that go into making Southern food.
Well, there are a whole lot of stereotypes about what makes Southern food, but I think with a handful of key ingredients and recipes, you can probably have a good idea that there's often greens that are stewed, there's often rice if you're in the low country, there's cornbread, there's pork, barbecue, you know, very clearly a Southern thing, and grits, you know, those. So there's a handful of very key ingredients. What makes it hard for people to recognize their origins is, of course, Southern food is an admixture of lots of different people and different cultures and different cooking methods. And the one that's really been neglected for a very long time, I think, because people were in general looking at elite cooking and, you know, seeing the connections between English cookery from the 16th, 17th century, and then how that translated into books like Mary Randolph in Virginia, you know, or, you know, there's very clear connections to England. And I think historians have often been swayed by those connections because it's a printed matter. But if you look at what, you know, are some of the ingredients that I just mentioned and some of the eating habits, they're really African. I mean, the roots are so very clearly come from Africa, with slavery, obviously. The greens are eaten throughout West Africa. They may be slightly different greens, but, you know, collard greens and anything that's picked and stewed until it's got this really viscous texture. There's nothing like that in English cookery, really. That's very much an African thing. And so is grits, really. You know, cooking down in Africa, it would be fufu. You'd have like a little ball of some kind of thick porridge, scoop it up with your fingers and dip that into whatever food you were eating. There's nothing even vaguely like that in English cooking. And so I think there's a lot of things, and I would argue, even though it's hard to prove with printed evidence, that barbecue was there in Africa, you know, long before. They may not have been using pig, they may not have been, you know, the word barbacoa is Native American, but I think that the basic procedure would have been familiar to anyone in West Africa, as it was to anyone in England, actually. You know, the English have traditions of roasting pig over a grate on top of low coals and low and slow. I mean, that's nothing unique to the South. It comes from both traditions. So it's kind of hard to tease out all these different elements. And in certain places, it's very clear, like New Orleans is very clear, that there's Spanish influence with Creole cooking.